Well, it is 8:15, so go ahead and we'll call the meeting to order and we'll rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And the consent agenda, approval of the minutes of the meeting of May 12th. Any plans for today? Any comments?
None for
None.
me. I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving right along. Do we have anyone wishing to address the commission today? We'll open for public comment. If anyone's on Zoom, you can use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen to indicate you'd like to speak to us. There will be one more opportunity later in the meeting, though we won't know exactly what time. In the room? Mr. Dexter, no? Thank you for being here today. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Public comment?
So,
Todd. Another one at the end.
yep.
Okay, we will close public comment and we'll move to our general manager report.
This will, I hope, be the shortest one that you've ever heard.
Okay.
First is to Tony. Tony, could you give me a call after this meeting? Got some logistics stuff to talk over with you. Shouldn't be more than a 5-minute call. Then the second thing, which is just for me, you'll notice it's this giant note I've got here. I just want to say thank you to the commission for allowing me to serve the last 4.5 years. And, thanks to our customers, thanks to the community for putting up with me and helping out. And it's really been an honor. And that's it.
Are you saying that because this is your last meeting?
Well, Tony will be here on Monday.
Okay.
So I'm assuming he'll sit in his chair, but that's one of the logistics things I want to
Okay,
talk over.
I need to get my bearings.
Well, we're gonna
Yeah.
still have opportunity to, give you our send off and everything.
Yeah,
You got
we're
at
planning
least
at the
2
end
more
of the year.
meetings, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah.
party like
Uh,
1999.
So
And
Well,
we're gonna keep paying you, so you better stay around.
That's
for
cool.
it.
one more month. Well, we do, it's really appreciate that, Chris. I mean, it's
It's been an honor to serve.
Yes, it is.
is it going to be, I guess, for the next 2 meetings, will we have both of you sitting at the table? How do we think we want to do this?
I need to have a
Yeah.
logistics call with our incoming general manager.
Yeah.
We need to figure
You
this
guys
out.
figure it out.
Hasn't quite been sorted out, okay.
Yeah, when I first reported here, Steve was still on books for a couple months. And he sat over in the public section. I was expecting something similar to that. You only got one GM in the meeting, but
And he was available for an assist on it,
absolutely,
and
So that's it for your report?
that's it.
Can
I told you. You already-
you make something
have
up?
you changed your mind on fusion or?
No,
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Granted, we're gonna have updates on our usual business,
That's right.
right? So it's not.
most of what I've been
there's-
spending my
Yep.
last month on is in the next 4 items.
Right.
Okay,
Great.
In the old business, not the operations report.
Do we have Kurt here for operations report? Or, oh, there we go.
Hey, good morning, commissioners. Yes,
Morning.
I am here. So, one of the first item is we had a neighborhood meeting last week for our Plant One rebuild. We had it here at the PUD, and this was just to let the nearby neighbors that the project was happening, just because realistically we only have 3 neighbors for us at the Plant One. We have the city of Ferndale and then 2 private landowners. So
Was
we
that
let them know. Pardon?
Travis, one of them?
He's actually just outside of it.
Okay,
And so we had that meeting, and it was just to let whoever was there, but there was also a record made, video and otherwise for the city of Ferndale, and that's just part of our process for the Plant One rebuild project. And there will be a larger meeting later in the whole the whole project timeline where there will be more of the city of Ferndale and county, but this was just kind of the neighborhood, get everybody who would know about it. If this was downtown, city of Ferndale, obviously there'd be a lot more people, but because of our location, there just wasn't that many. And then on more of an operational side of things, we will be having the divers here at Plant 2 inspecting our intake facility. They will be here tomorrow and Thursday and potentially Friday. This is a little bit, because of the different design between Plant 1 and Plant 2 intakes, this is more of just a inspection and checking things out, whereas Plant 1, it's a much more in-depth process. But so they'll be inspecting Plant 2 intake tomorrow and the next day. And I'd be willing to answer any questions. Commissioner Deshmon?
So it did occur to me, since my friend Travis is Wershalta Gas is just maybe another block or so away. He lives at the intersection of Ulrich and what's the name of the main street there? Is it Ferndale Road?
Unic, I believe. Ferndale and Unic.
Yeah. And so anyway, I can mention it to him, or if you can mention it to him, you can just, I think you have his contact. Just seeing if he has any input. It might be, I'm sure you have helpful input as an engineer.
We are familiar with Travis and we talk to him pretty regularly, actually. So
Okay, great. Yeah, great.
about
Thanks.
a number of projects. You're welcome. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Kurt.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I was wondering, how often do the diver inspections happen?
We try and get them here every year. We didn't do Plant 2 last year. We had done the year before. So this is why we definitely had to get them. We try and get them annually. Like I said, Plant 2 is a little less of an intense operational project. Plant 1, it's required every year because of the sediment load that builds up in the wells.
Okay. Okay, well, yeah, I dropped by the open house on Friday and
Yes, you did.
thank you for, preparing that and delivering the presentation and everything. It was a good refresher for me on, going through the project. But yeah, we didn't get any members of the public.
Nope. We posted it in the newspaper and we sent letters to specific owners, but no one showed up other than staff and commissioners.
Well, still all good to have more of those opportunities, right? And it's, I guess if you're not hearing from the public, then that's probably a sign that things are good, right? So
Generally speaking.
yeah.
Or at least okay.
Yeah, right. No big
Just FYI, and Kurt, please clarify, there have been some, in that area. There have been some, obviously it's we live with flooding. And so, there's work that's been done to the levee. There's work that's been done to move the road. Of course, it's impacted PUD. We made specific capital expenditures to work around the city of Ferndale's development and levees and all of that kind of thing. So that impacts property owners. And I think we've gotten that, and Travis is one of the people who has concerns around that issue. And so that's why I specifically brought him up. But I'm guessing that, they're probably communicating first and foremost with the city of Ferndale. And if there's anything we need to know that impacts us, it comes from the city of Ferndale. Is that a realistic assessment?
Yes, that is that we are working with the city of Ferndale on our permitting and all of everything else for the project, and the city of Ferndale is going to be the ones that are going to be bringing us news of all kinds.
Yeah. So like,
You're right.
citizens and property rights fall more under a municipal government than they do under the PUD. And it's the way
Right.
essentially the way the public input's happening on things like that is through the municipality, because they're in a municipality, and then it's getting funneled to us as appropriate.
Right. Right, so it's not, yeah, it's not that there's, they're, just because, yeah, folks aren't coming to the open house doesn't mean there aren't, some things for the city to address, right, yeah. Well, any other further questions on this, for the comments?
Nope, not for me. Great, thank you, commissioners.
And Kurt. And we'll move to old business. Starting with the broadband update, is Andrew still?
He should be online. I don't believe that there's anything to report since our last meeting. It's just pretty much Commerce is busy shutting down, they'll issue the final closure notice to us. Oh, there's Andrew.
There he is.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, Chris is right on. Just working on wrapping or finalizing the details with the Point for the Point Roberts project, and I know we received. So now switching gears to more local developments, the interlocal agreement with the port and the tribe. I know I saw a draft of that come in last week, but I was out last week at a conference, so staff hasn't had time to review that yet. But that is moving forward, so more details to come on that development. That's the bulk of the report, and there was an office hours meeting the Wednesday after our last meeting, so I think that would have been the 13th, and that was an informative WISBO office hour meetings. They had talked about signing the contract with the Fed, so that gives them the Washington State Broadband Office the ability to move forward with subgrantees for BEAD. So that doesn't impact us directly, but it's nice to know that those contracts are moving forward. We also heard about the non-deployment dollars, which has been a big conversation about, in addition to the infrastructure dollars, there's a slew of non-deployment dollars, and the WISBO staff had made mention that they expect to hear more by June 22nd about those. So that's all new developments, and they're rolling out what they're calling broadband bulletin. So if you missed the meeting, there'll be a recap of the meetings that are sent out in the future, since not everyone can attend on a regular basis. So that's all I have today.
They're also recorded too, right, the meetings?
Correct. I'll kick it back to Chris in case I forgot anything.
No, I think you got it covered, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Of course.
That's all good to know. Yes, let's, yeah, Commissioner.
Just, board seems interested in this whole subject.
Mhm.
I've had conversations with Tyler. He was very supportive of the idea up front. Tyler Schroeder, economic development for the port, so seems very supportive of it. There's now a process that's happening and where there's conversations happening internally at the port as well as with their commission. And I've had conversations relating to this with two of the commissioners. You can imagine which two those were. But it's Carly and Michael, and they sound supportive, open. So obviously the devil's always in the details. So
We know that better than most.
we have a meeting, the Lummi Nation has a meeting or a educational session on May 30th, Saturday. And I'm still planning to go. I think, were you planning to go?
Yes.
And so we need to notice that.
I will be at Whatcom Youth Pride.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
to prepare.
I think we have that squared away.
We have it prepared, yeah.
great.
Okay,
And we'll be there mostly to listen and learn.
right.
Great.
So we have all the details for that.
Yeah, the event is, the presenter is Lena So, who's the chief archaeologist for the Lummi Nation. And she just wants to create awareness and education in the Point Roberts community. Obviously, there's been some issues. And so education is always a way to reduce issues. So that's what she's hoping to do.
That's great.
And, as an organization that wants to continue to pursue projects and develop infrastructure, it doesn't hurt us to have better understanding of those issues, so.
Just one word of caution, I urge on anybody that goes there. My understanding is that the Lummi and DAP want to roll out the Point Roberts process across the rest of Whatcom County. So you'd have another agency that would have veto power. All construction projects of any nature. Or they could put, conditions on it that could be time consuming and expensive or not. So I would say that, they're probably gonna talk a lot about that kind of thing, and that kind of land development stuff is not our issue. And I just caution you guys, don't wade into the middle of it if you don't have to.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And feel free to defer to staff and just, hey, we've got to do more research on that. Let me get with Chris, let me get with Andrew, let me get with Tony, and we'll figure it out.
Right.
For sure, right. Well, we'll just be there to listen and learn mainly, from Lena Tso, but also from the folks in Point Roberts that are coming out. It'd be good to have some, just a good occasion to check in with people, and, I'm looking forward to it. Do we want to move on to
Mhm.
adjudication?
Yeah, so I don't have anything of substance new from the last meeting. Just to give you a picture of how I am prepare for the adjudication update agenda item. I don't go to the committee meetings or hearings, but I use Sarah in-house, or I get reports from Matt on occasion. I don't think there was much of substance, but if there was anything from the last meeting on the 22nd, the steering committee meeting, for example, I will provide an email to you along those lines. But
Which Sarah goes to the committee meetings?
Sarah Phrase,
CR,
yeah,
okay.
CSD.
And then, who's attending the Water Resources Advisory Committee these days?
That is Sarah, that's the other Sarah, yeah,
Yeah.
Sarah Mack.
I just want to bring up that, it might be something for us to consider as a cost saving measure to have you start covering the Water Resources Advisory Committee.
I think one thing to consider, Sarah has a lot of clients, and so when she does that, she splits it.
She does.
So we don't pay the full freight for her being there.
Okay.
And she's really good. I mean, she's got the history.
Yeah, so she has lots of clients who want her to go to the Water Resources Advisory Committee.
Yeah, I can take a look at how
Okay.
that gets billed, just
Okay.
to,
No,
if
okay,
there's anything different than that, I'll let you know, but that I typically. For those attorneys that do that kind of work, their bill is split twice, 3 times along those lines.
okay,
And then. And so what I'll do, I'm gonna be out, and I've let staff know this, I'll be out from like this Thursday afternoon through June 8th, so I'll have to find out what happened. There's another meeting at the steering committee on this Friday, but I'll be generally not available, but back for that meeting on the 9th, I think it is.
okay.
Great.
So, no further.
I have a water item, but I think, Chris, I'll bring up in my commissioner comments.
Okay.
But it's something that I wouldn't say is quite actionable, but it's a request for staff. But I'll bring it up in my commissioner comments. So you guys aren't surprised.
Yeah, let's go on to geothermal. I think we'll want Andrew up for this one as well, right?
Yep. And just as kind of a background for the 2 commissioners who may not have been tracking this very closely. The environmental assessment for all of the leased land came out about 2 weeks ago. And we've been analyzing it and trying to figure out what it means, and we're not real happy about it. And I asked Andrew to come in here and talk to us about it, and he has prepared graphics that's even better. Andrew, why don't you take it away?
Okay, thanks, Chris, and feel free to chime in any time here. I'll just kind of walk through some of these maps here. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're just going to go back to 2020 real quick. when, or prior to the original geothermal land leases, you're looking at all the blocks, if you will, that were included in that first round of geothermal land leases. When they went to auction, you could bid on these areas. And we know that out of that original geothermal land leasing opportunity, there were two areas that were leased, the north area and the southeast side near Baker Lake. That north side there, that one's still a current lease today, but the southeast one there in blue near Baker Lake has now lapsed and is no longer leased. But you might recall that staff worked with the current owners of that lease to take that lease over, and we went through. Well, first asked if that was okay, and they said yes, they'd be open to that, of course, and then BLM unfortunately had said no, we need to re-auction that lease if you wanted to take it over. So you can't take it over; it has to go back to auction. And so we had renominated that blue area because we just said, well, okay, we'll renominate that same area since it had already been leased before. You might recall, and I think Chris, maybe we waited about a year and a half or so, and then nothing was moving. So we just said, well, okay, let's just renominate all the other areas that were part of the original, opportunity, minus that north area since it's already leased. I should have cut that out, but we renominated all the other remaining parcels that had already gone through the environmental assessment, had already gone out to geothermal land lease auction, and that was back in 2020. Now we have the draft environmental assessment today that Chris mentioned, and here are all the areas that are in blue that are no surface occupancy or no ground disturbing areas out of the the draft environmental assessment today. The red areas are the areas that we can bid on for geothermal purposes, but all the blue has now become areas that we cannot pursue.
Red, you mean pink? Because it looks pink to me.
No,
No, the red
So-
up there in the north.
yeah, if I may. The red areas, these little dots in here, that's where you can have surface disturbance. And many of them are located on creek beds and places where you wouldn't.
Want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's even deceptive the way that it's shown here, because a lot of these little red specks they're not usable, not anything we want to disturb. So, the other part of it is that once you get on, so you can draw a ring here that's about 5 kilometers from the peak, and that's the sweet spot. From 5 to 10 kilometers out. In terms, that's where we don't think we'll have to drill too deep to find heat.
So what was the reason for the change?
That is a great question. We don't know.
Oh,
But we suspect that it came out of the tribal consultation. That, and so the Nooksack tribe, which is obviously a proponent of this project, is reaching out to the other tribes to try and figure out what the heck is going on.
yeah.
And we've asked the Forest Service, and they've given us a summary document which says absolutely nothing. And so one of the options would be for us to do a public records request. Probably not productive, because it's a public records request of sovereign to sovereign. It's probably not something they're gonna give us. The other thing is that it would likely irritate the tribes if they had negative comments, and that's really kind of a tribal issue. So, and last but not least, we don't know what the Nooksack wants to do, and Mike is gonna be talking to them today at their council meeting. And what he's gonna be asking them is, do you wanna pursue a protest, and comment on this, that, this is kind of ridiculous. I would submit to you guys that if the Nooksack doesn't wanna comment on this, it might not be productive for us to comment on it. And if the Nooksack doesn't wanna comment on it, then what we're left with is basically a non-project.
So a few things here. One, just to clarify, right? The lands are available to lease. This is a map from the draft environmental assessment showing where there's no surface occupancy based on the exact same stipulations around surface occupancy that were in place in the 2008 and 15 environmental assessments. Or like, is there an equivalent map from the older environmental assessments that showed differently?
those stipulations were not present in the prior leasing.
But the terms around no surface occupancy were, like, as far as like I know Andrew's reviewed this far more in depth than I have, but I did go back and look through, this EA and some of the supporting documents and some of the previous EAs or the previous, there's the EIS and the studies that were done from, when the lands were leased the last time. And I couldn't find an equivalent map with the blue and the red, which I think we all, the coloring here doesn't really make sense as far as how it would delineate where it was allowed. But there was like a list, as far as the list of, these stipulations around where you could drill or not didn't seem to have changed. The only thing is the color coded map. I don't know, Andrew, were you able to find more on that?
That actually makes no sense because they add severe ground disturbing activity for the, 1 or 2 acres for the test well that they actually drilled out there. So I'm not, that doesn't track for me.
Well, I'm just saying as far as what I saw in the document, again, this is something to be like, that I want to be asked, someone should be asking the Forest Service about, and, the lead agency that prepared this assessment. There's a comment period out. That's exactly what this is for, is to find out, like, well, how did you get here? What does this mean? And again, this isn't saying where we can't lease. It's saying it's an indicator of what wouldn't be permittable to actually explore, right?
Well, yeah, but the only reason we would lease is because we want to explore geothermal, right? So
Right.
we can't lease it for for the reasons that we would want to lease. I see what you're saying. They didn't take away the option to lease, but they took away the use, right? Which is the only thing that matters in our case. It's the only thing that matters in our case.
Yeah, the map is the environmental assessment is an informational document.
Yes,
It's not definitively itself, the determinant of, this environmental assessment is on the leasing auction itself. It's not a review of the action of drilling. And an action of, if we're proposing to actually do an exploratory project, then there's a whole other round of environmental study that's done. And what this is a preview. This is an indicator of what you should expect the study to show, right? And so anyway, I know Andrew wasn't really done with his presentation. I see there's another slide, so maybe we should let him get through everything first before I'm just, yeah.
Well, no, it's
Andrew?
okay. The other side, I don't know, I was going to stop here just because the other slide I put together really quickly, and I was just trying to get an idea to show all of you where some of the logging activity has already happened for reference, but I wasn't able to get that compiled in time for this presentation. But there's a lot of logging that's happened around these areas as well. And so you can see the impact that's happened on these blue areas already. So it was a surprise to us when you can go drive out there today and see lots of logging activities. I mean, acres and acres of this activity happening on these areas that are now all of a sudden no surface occupancy, which when you read the EA also describes, in more detail what that means in terms of the definition, and it talks about no disturbance. So there's been significant disturbance in these areas already today. And it's just a surprise. And I agree, or I had the same thoughts as you, Eddie, at first. And so we went to our hero, Susan Petty and Joe Walt, I believe. They're the folks who put together our study, and we just said, are we reading this correctly, right? I mean, we can't lease these areas for the purpose of geothermal exploration, right? We can't be reading this right. Please tell us wrong. And you're the experts. Please tell us we're wrong. And they said, no, you can't. You wouldn't want to pursue these for your goals here. It just wouldn't make any sense based on the EA. So. But yeah, that's the end of the presentation. It's a bummer to say the least.
What's the last slide? It looks like a different map. Is that?
he was talking about logging.
Oh, that was the logging.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not complete.
Well, okay. So I see.
Yeah, I wasn't able to pull actual records of logging permits. And so I just pulled tree canopy loss over the last 10-year horizon. You can see where there's been significant tree loss, and I was trying to triangulate where there had been some, to create a visual of where the actual logging has happened. But this is not a formal or legal harvest record.
So to be clear though, it does show activity around where Baker Lake, where we were interested in
Yes.
leasing.
Yes.
Yeah, and just of note, what it doesn't show is when you drive up to Baker Lake. Which the road goes up like right in here and up, that's all been clear cut. And it doesn't show on this, so,
Yeah.
we know there's a lot out there that we could get a hold of, but, you know, like I said, Andrew was out last week. I jumped in with this first thing this morning and was done yeoman's work to get this together.
Okay,
It seems like that's, I mean, that's just the key thing for us to. Like more fact finding is needed, right, to determine how. Like what's behind this map, how they arrived at the conclusion that there's no service occupancy, and we don't, like, we were saying, we don't exactly know how, but as far as like just the explanation of the reasoning for it and what they, you know, from your. What you got from them so far was, you know, when you know, you run through these criteria and these factors and this is what you end up with, but they use some kind of modeling tool, like how did they? It seems like there's more to learn here.
So I think that, our comments can come in one of two flavors, that's where this is going. One would be simply an observation that, you know, when you look at what was leased before and what's, you know, really usable in the lease today, there's a big difference in what caused that. So that would be one set of comments. The other set of comments would be if the Nooksack come back and they say, look, you know, we're proponents of this, it's our historical hunting grounds. And as long as this work is done responsibly and you've got, you know, unintended, what do they call it? Where you expose artifacts and stuff.
Inadvertent discovery.
Inadvertent discovery. If you've got an inadvertent discovery plan, and we would, because that's the right thing to do, but,
well,
you know, yeah, and so I think, you know, if the Nooksack wanna proceed with some comments to that effect, that's great, we should support that. And then I think we ought to have comments that are mainly on the delta and not understanding why that delta has happened.
asking the question.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the purpose of today's discussion, was to get a head nod on that basic approach.
Yeah,
Not-
I'm
sorry,
so
go.
curious into why this has changed now, right? I'm just thinking back to like our meeting at Nooksack. And a representative from Swinomish was on the phone and they were like, nobody consulted us. It was
It
Swinomish.
was no.
It was.
It was, but.
It was.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was Swinomish. Sock Settle
Yeah.
was, they
I don't think they were there.
were not. They weren't present, but we have spoken to Sock Settle about about geothermal project. Yeah, so anyway.
Well, we talked to their lobbyist.
Right.
Because the lobbyist was the one who informed us that this was, and we verified it, that this was Nooksack traditional hunting grounds.
That's right.
So that's why we pivoted early to the Nooksack and talked
Yeah.
to them first.
So but I just wanna say, so right now it's we're speculating
That's
that,
correct.
that this was caused by some sort of tribal consultation, but that's a speculation. But the second piece of that is if it is caused from the tribes, like why isn't, we have an opportunity to expand our partnership, right?
Mm.
Like are people feeling like left out of the communication? I don't know, I just I'm really struggling because it feels like if this project is done, that means broadband is done and geothermal is all of our hard work over the last few years towards a project.
Their own
is-
standing guns.
Yeah, yeah, but I do think that we should clarify that at this point it's speculation, that it has anything to do with the tribes.
Right, we don't,
Yeah.
that's it's speculation.
Just a point of fact, what the Nooksack told me was that there were at least 3 separate written communications and then phone calls to each of the other tribes, and the Swinomish said they had never been contacted. That was simply
Yeah.
false. Now, it could very well be that, you know, who was being contacted in the tribe wasn't talking to whoever was on the phone.
Mhm.
And that's an internal issue with the tribe.
It has nothing to do with us. I am
That's right.
never going to be in a position where I get between tribal nations and their communication, period.
That's right.
That's for that.
That's why we're
Yeah.
kind of treading.
Yes.
we
Right,
want
and
to see where the
I
next
think the
step is.
general approach that I think what you want is a head nod on a general approach.
Right.
And that's, us asking the question.
Yeah, go on a fact finding
And
mission.
let the next secretary take the lead on tribal consultation, investigating that. That to me is a completely reasonable
I
approach.
think so.
Okay, we've got about,
Yeah,
we got about 2 weeks to put our comments in. I think
Yeah,
it
and-
goes till the 15th, is that right, Andy?
I
But I
believe
have,
so,
a-
yeah.
I have a follow-up question now, and that is that it is a public comment period, meaning it's open to anybody.
Mhm. And there are public comments in there, you can go and read them.
And this is where I'm curious. To what extent, is it important for, us to, be aware that other people will be making public comments and is it any way beneficial for us to invite public comment on this subject?
As an individual, you can do whatever you want.
I'm not, this would not be, Jamie, this would not be appropriate for me as a individual to make a comment. It's so close to PUD business. It would not be appropriate for me to make a public comment.
No,
I'm
as
talking
an
about the general-
individual, you can encourage whoever.
You're not
you
referring to
want.
me, yeah.
Yeah,
And what I'm just wondering about is that, is there a benefit in community education? Or things like that would be helpful on this subject, is something that maybe we should, maybe not answer today, but let's think about that.
There's a lot of folks that, that we've come in contact with as we've done education around this. Many of them, if we called them, would comment. And, you know, what the nature of that comment would be, to me, a little bit unpredictable.
Exactly, yeah.
But in general, the folks that we've talked to have ended up thinking this is a good project if it's built right. And we probably get that feedback. The comments, the last time I looked, there were only 3 comments. Andrew, do you know if there's more? And there must be.
I haven't checked since last
Yeah.
week, late last week.
And it was 2-1 in favor with 3 comments, so, you know, I mean, statistically, it's irrelevant, but. We can go back in and look and just see how it's running in terms of the community, but, you know, we could go out and campaign to get more people to comment. I'm not really sure if that would have any impact on. the
I'm just
decision
trying to get a
process.
temperature on the topic, okay? I'm not suggesting we do anything at this particular point. I'm trying to get a temperature from
like
us.
if we were gonna try to get more, like specifically get public comment in. Like the kind of, like, this isn't like a place where, you know, it's like. Public pressure or opinions, or, you know, this would be great or this wouldn't, that's not, that kind of thing makes no difference in you know, comments to the US Forest Service here on a draft EA. It's what might be useful is, you know, a professional environmental review, where raising things that weren't considered in the EA. And that would be, you know, if that's something we wanted to like. It's pretty, you know, it's a short window to contract out. Granted, you know, it's along the lines of what we would need to do anyway to pursue a project, right? We would need, I believe, like an environmental consultant to assist in going through the, you know, the NEPA and permitting process. And all the issues I think that have come up in the EA, they're. Like, we knew it was gonna, there's a whole host of issues that make it challenging to drill in that area. And we're surprised in that the area we thought where it'd be most, like the environmental impacts would be most manageable. Turns out to be the place where they're saying it's a no-go. So that's, you know, there's more to find out there. And I think if we were gonna try to get a different answer, we'd have to hire a
Technical
professional analysis, yeah. And I don't know if there's time to do that. And when are the comments due?
15.
About the middle of June.
Yeah,
So, like you said, 20 days, was that what you said?
It was, I think, 30 days from when they dropped the EA, which was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 30
So,
days.
We got 2 weeks then, maybe, huh?
About, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact dates, but it's coming. I didn't anticipate contracting for that. I mean, we could ask Hero to do it. It's a little bit outside of their wheelhouse, but not much. They've got some environmental consultants on board. But, you know, my issue is if it was request that this be held inviolate because of non-environmental reasons, but cultural heritage reasons, then that's really the Nooksac's issue to take on if they want to. If they don't want to, then, you know, so in either case on ours, it would be, you know, what's the delta? And then, you know, especially if you're able to mitigate through an inadvertent discovery plan, what's the harm? And I'm just not
Can
getting.
I ask a stupid question? Of course I can.
Yeah. I mean,
If it has cultural reasons, then why is it being included in an environmental assessment? Like what, like if that, like if the reasons are cultural, valid reasons, why is it being couched into this environmental assessment?
I guess maybe if I can also suggest, like add on to your question, do cultural, considerations typically show up in environmental assessments?
They do, yeah.
Okay.
But why?
That's part of NEPA.
Why are they, because those are an environmental assessment,
It's the law.
just because it's law.
That's been the tradition.
Well, I mean,
Are we,
That's right.
because we're calling it a cultural environment has nothing to do with like the natural environment, they're like, that seems like a weird process, right? Yeah.
I think it has to do with legacy,
it's
history.
impacts to people. I mean, the entire frame of the National Environmental Policy Act, it's impacts to the human environment. Its impacts to people is primarily what you're studying.
So we're calling
So-
the environment, but so we're bringing culture into like the environment,
Mhm.
like that is, because we're not talking about how it affects like people today, like the living, breathing, we're talking about how it affects like cultural, like
That is how it affects-
archaeological. Well,
it does.
It does affect them today.
well, so what I'm saying is there aren't living and breathing people up there at this location, right? So we're not talking about the immediate environmental impact,
Other than casual use and hunting and things like that.
other than casual use and hunting. That's very different than a cultural impact. But so it seems like they're using a very broad stroke for environment, right? That's a very, I hear what you're saying. It's legacy. That's part of NEPA. I'm just saying it's very broad. That's very
Right,
broad.
it's not, right now, it's not clear from the EA that's
That's the problem.
that's
Yeah,
what
again,
the thing is. That's
speculation.
speculation of,
Right, I know, I brought it up. minutes
like, I
ago.
mean, it's
Yeah.
also like, it's the inconsistency over where the red and blue is shown that's puzzling. If you look at the locations of streams and headwaters and topography. And that's what's hard to puzzle out. It's not clear, but there's a lot of limitations as far as like if you're gonna do drilling and then there's a tailing pond of debris and where's that gonna go? I mean, there's just things that
Yeah.
inherently are limiting, and so it's a multitude of factors.
And it is puzzling, because you wouldn't think that it would be okay to do it on a creek bed, right? I
Yeah.
mean, even from a cultural perspective, like that seems strange, you know,
Not for us.
yeah, it's just.
I mean, from a construction
All of it's
perspective,
strange.
you don't wanna drill in a stream bed. It's just a bad
No.
idea.
Yeah,
Just all the way around, that's a bad idea.
You know, gotta say, you know, I work in this area a little bit, not a lot on the environmental side. It just seems really odd to me. So if this is a comment period. To have meaningful comment, you have to know what you're commenting on. So, you know, just a map without any rationale isn't really a meaningful opportunity to comment. I don't know, it's just weird.
right, so how can you comment on like the cultural aspect when we don't even know if that's why it's changed, right? We don't even.
Well,
Okay,
I did
so-
ask Mike of the Nooksec tribe, did you have any villages up there? Was there any habitation? And he said, not to the best of their knowledge, it was just a traditional hunting area, so we'd find your typical arrowheads and. You know, temporary encampment debris and that kind of stuff, and that's it.
Right, it's near a body of water, you'd think there'd be activity.
Yeah.
So this is I think it's a 30 or 40 page document, if I recall. It was readable from what I remember. When I looked at it, was it last week that it came out, or was it the week before? I went and looked at it. I think it'd be good for other commissioners if they could be, make sure that everyone has the relevant documents to understand what we're dealing with here. But yeah, there's a page, there's a project page, plenty of more of appendices and related files and things like that. Staff have been going through. The answers apparently are not there, but. What I saw is that, you know, the indication on the, you know, the timeline for the project is we could still have a lease auction in June or July. Or by July, correct?
I think you let us know on the documents when they came out, it said September, and you let us know it got changed to July.
Yeah, on the website, it got
I've not gone in to
Yeah.
look, but I just took the word for it.
But why would we submit for a lease if we can't use the land? For our intended purpose?
well, keep in mind, there is still areas all over the west side, that are, you know, it's all of those parcels.
All of those, where there was red.
Yeah,
that would-
there's red on the west side
Mhm.
that appears to be eligible still.
But unusable, as far as I'm concerned, that's still, I wouldn't
well,
drill on a
it-
creek red.
No, it's not,
There's
it's not,
something there.
there are
Ask you to pull
places,
that back
like,
up.
there's
Yeah.
viable places there,
Are they?
yeah, like.
He's gonna pull the map up and
It-
talk you through it. It's kind of it's one of those deals where,
I mean, if we were, again, we're not, you know, if we were getting into specifics of where,
yeah, like this area up here, a number of people have gone there, there are roads there, all that kind of stuff. It turns out you can sink a well there, but you can't build a power plant. They've looked at the topography, so
yeah, it's more
we could
the,
do some exploration, but, it wouldn't be a development kind of thing.
I'm trying to get my bearings of where these actual places are, so that's on the other side, so that is
So-
like Acme area, or is
no,
that?
it's south of Glacier, so
South of
if
Glacier.
you turn off of like, where, you know, there's a substation, it's right by that, you know, yeah, the, you know, like Chair 9.
Yes,
Yeah, so it's just south of there is basically that red area.
But all the rest of these little scattered dots in here, they're either topologically or, from a thermal point of view, not desirable.
Although, so I'm just trying to remember so there, we did in our early sort of discussions say that there was potential for geothermal on the north side.
Absolutely, and
And on the west side.
this whole section right in here, we still think there's geothermal, but that's the part that's leased by Fervo. It's already leased, and we think they're gonna develop at some point.
Okay, obviously, we
So
need
let me
all of
take-
the information
I
together.
Well, have we had any conversations with Fervo?
Andrew, you tried to reach out to him, didn't you?
We reached out, but we were unsuccessful at our last meeting. The staff from Hero will be reaching out to Fervo to see if they have any interest at this point, you know, to move forward together or collaboratively.
Yeah. So that's another possibility.
Yeah. Yeah,
And they're maintaining their leases. Is there, when you have a maintained lease, does that also protect your right to develop it?
yes, but it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
You've gotta end up, I think it's after year 10.
There's still permits and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, after year 10, you either have to develop the land and document what you spent on developing it. Or you have to pay the Forest Service the equivalent of those development fees. So, and they're the ones who figured that out, cause they want royalties. And, so, to the best of our knowledge, Fervo is making those payments, cause I think they leased that land in 2013. So it would have been, they would have hit the 10-year mark in 23 if I have those dates right.
Okay.
But yes, they wanna keep it, it's on their campaign, they're looking at doing it in the late 2030s, last we heard.
Brandon, if we were gonna get a discussion about what we might lease or not lease, that's executive session, right?
Yeah.
But I guess like, but the, you know, the level we're at here in this discussion is that like,
Discovery.
we haven't made a decision yet, right, around putting in a bid. There's more information to find before we decide that, but yeah, the key thing I think to understand about the west side parcels here is, you know, as Chris said, it would seem more like not the most suitable place for a power plant because of the need, you know, the accessibility and the need for building the connecting transmission and everything like that. But there are many well-maintained forest roads leading up to and around all various locations. There's flat ground. And there's lots of active logging, clear cuts and things like that all around it. So it's not that it's not infeasible to do exploration there if it was for the purpose of, in the long term, establishing that there's potential for development, geothermal energy potential, right? I think that's something that we'd still want to consider pursuing or right, that maybe Furbo or someone else is going to want to, so.
At this point, I'm trying to figure out timelines too, so comments are due by the 15th. When is sort of the like formalized assessment put out? Like will we know in time for the July auction whether or not that would be land that we could
I would
lease?
think so. And I think the process they go through is once the EA has been finalized and released, then they set the date for the auction. And usually they gotta notify 30 days out. So that gives bidders an opportunity to put the bid together.
And how do auctions work and how much cash do we have to have in the bank?
I think we need to have that as a discussion in executive session.
Can we plan that for our next meeting?
We can.
Yeah. I would like that.
I
Is it
think.
okay, is the commission okay with that?
Yeah,
Well, I would just, I mean, if we don't know if we're gonna bid on anything, why have a detailed conversation about what to bid?
that's true, we won't know until after the.
I would recommend after the EA comes out, have that meeting. And
But how much
figure
time
out-
will that be between when the EA comes out and don't we need to do
We'll
some
have
initial
30
plan?
days, and if we gotta call a special meeting in order to put the bid together, that's what we should do.
Okay,
But I mean, until we know what we're gonna bid on,
no,
why?
I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this could be,
It could be a hot July,
yeah, it could be.
pardon the pun.
okay, but we might want to have an executive session, like second meeting in June, sounds like.
I think
Maybe.
let's get our comments in and find out, what we can about what caused that shift. And then find out how the Forest Service responds to the comments. Cause if they say, oh, yeah, you're right, this should all be, with appropriate inadvertent discovery plans, it's not, it's, you can have it. And then Katie bar the door. I mean, then that discussion needs to happen pretty quick.
Can I get all of the information that pertains to this? Can I,
Could we get an email?
yeah, just.
Oh, but you want the EA and that stuff, cause I mean, when you
Yes,
said all
yeah.
the information, you're talking tens of thousands
Give
of
me
pages.
tens of thousands. And I've been having a hard time sleeping at night. I want everything.
Printed on heavyweight,
Yeah.
resume paper,
Yeah.
single sided.
Thank you.
The EA is pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I just have all of these questions because this is a new conversation to me and
Right.
I don't wanna,
Yeah,
Yeah, so Andrew, I will ask that you go ahead and forward all of that stuff to the commissioners directly.
Just a briefing email that.
So
when
they
you
can
send-
read it.
and I also just wanted to note, I'm not sure if you two were made aware, but so there was a member of the public that was on the list, the notification list for when the CA was released, and they emailed all the local, I think Whatcom and Skagit County officials to let them know. And that got forwarded from county staff to Chris. And I guess I didn't know if maybe like anyone had come and asked you about this as a
I didn't
result.
get an email from
So,
them. They didn't include
it was
our people.
someone who was raising,
Yeah, they didn't include anybody from what, and we found out, Gary Stoika called me and said, is this your project? And then forwarded Julie's comments to me. That's how we became aware that these comments were out there.
yeah, well, I mean, it was Julie Carpenter, she's a local realtor. Anyway, I think I was just because I happened to catch Chris when this was going on, and I got some of the messages forwarded, and I realized not all the commissioners were looped into this, but basically, it sounded like, I mean, in summary, it sounded like, I mean, she didn't know the context of this, but was alerted and interpreted it to be part of, like Trump administration's new break, they're unleashing American energy policy, and was really concerned that suddenly all of Mount Baker was gonna be opened up to drilling. And so,
Which was
yeah.
legitimate concern.
And so she, well, no, I mean, yeah, granted, it was perfectly reasonable reaction, not knowing, and so, she got in touch with Chris, who informed her and kind of walked her through all the context of this and where this project came from the PUD, was being pursued in partnership with Nooksack and all that. And she sent a follow-up message to all the county officials saying that she now was, it was complete 180 basically. It was complete 180 on the whole thing. And she was effusively praising Chris and the PUD and it was very positive turnabout. So
It sucks that we're
Yeah.
in this situation
We are.
where we have to react from fear because we just don't even know what reality is anymore.
It's okay, this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, today, once again, I don't know, if I'll share how I feel is that. We made a really good decision in partnering with the Nooksack tribe. And we made that decision, I don't remember how many years ago, it was under your tenure, Chris.
It was in 22.
Oh, yeah.
That was such a good decision. That was such a good decision. And I'm so grateful for that decision. And let's and just acknowledge, I just wanted to acknowledge that.
yeah, I think we've been like, PUD's been pursuing this in the right way.
Yeah.
And
With the right intentions.
Yeah. Right, and it's like,
We should just stay on our A game.
as
Yeah.
people like learn about it, you know, it's totally appropriate for them to have reactions of
Yeah.
concern and then to learn more, right? I know folks who came to, you know, there was Department of Ecology's open house in Bellingham, you know, it's, you know, heard some similar things from people. They're like, what's going on? Is this gonna be some giant gold rush around the mountain? Is this, you know, like, I think it's important for everyone to go forward, right? There's a lot of constraints to doing this. We could only do it if we do absolutely everything right. And there's, you know, we're still in the process of getting that information, right? And I think that for all of us, right, that was our pursuit of this has always been contingent on a number of factors. So seems like I don't interpret this EA as being like, that's it, you know, it's yeah, but it's something we have to.
When you said gold rush, I had a humorous thought, that I imagine a Wapuda video of us out in the streams panning for geothermal. But anyway, I agree with you that we are, we're gonna see more of this kind. This isn't the end.
Oh, yeah.
Assuming we get through this, there will be more, and then there'll be more after that.
We
And-
know,
And you know, I think we have to be an endurance runner as an organization. And you know, keep true to our mission and keep true to our relationships and stick with it. And I think we'll prevail. I really believe that.
I'm still a little depressed.
Oh, me too, but I'm like, I've had so much bad news in the last. 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, I mean, my feelings on the matter, I suppose,
No,
don't matter, but
bad
I
news.
love to talk about my feelings.
But you as a person, your
Yeah.
organization and our organization, we bounce. We're gonna
Yeah.
bounce. We're gonna bounce. We have to-
It's just that, yeah, I mean, I, like all of us, I think, on this commission, like, we see this as being such a good thing for Whatcom County.
We
Like,
do.
it's like energy resilience
Yes.
is so important right now, and it's frustrating to see that sort of our key places could get shut down over reasons that we don't know. Again, speculation that has anything to do with culture. But if it does, I mean, we want to partner with tribes, that it's important to me also that they are brought along in this, like, you know, energy resilience and autonomy and, just knowing that, you know, tribes were left out of like the Rural Electrification Act through how, you know, how property was arranged. And it's really important that they have a say in how we develop and keep the lights on. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see things like this. That's all I'll say. I want to know more.
Yeah, well, we're gonna learn more soon.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and staff, we're gonna keep grinding on
yeah,
it,
yeah,
so don't worry about that.
yeah, thanks for all your work,
And we've been grinding on it for 3.5 years now.
Yeah, and-
We're gonna continue.
and you know, of course you, Chris and Andrew, you know, like trying to get us prepared today, when you just showed up. Thank you for all that effort. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, if you need to go take a break and get your coffee now finally, you know.
And Andrew, this has gotta be just personally frustrating for you as well, I'm sure, going from broadband to bad news about geothermal and, we're lucky to have you.
Yeah, we're lucky to have you and we're not quitting. We still got your back, so.
Oh, thanks. I'm not quitting either. Yeah, no, I
Good.
remain positive.
Good. Don't go
Yeah, good.
anywhere.
And Chris, you're not quitting, you're just retiring.
Yeah, I'll still be here, just not full time.
Speaking of which, is that coffee left over from Friday or?
No, it's fresh.
Okay, cause I could use a cup.
I'll refresh mine and get you some too.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, cause you're the chair, that's part of the vice.
Thank you.
Brings
It's in the
coffee.
job description.
Whoever brewed that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice to have, you know, hot pot of coffee early in the morning, so, this reminded me that I've been meaning to propose instituting a break time in our, like halfway through our agenda, just to give everyone a second to stretch, because this is a shorter meeting, so maybe we don't need to, but.
Yeah, I'll tap you on the shoulder though, if I need to take a little break, cause I'm still in my recovery phase from lithotripsy.
Maybe after we get through our updates, before we go to final reports,
Yeah, okay.
because we might end up talking about things for a while, you know,
As we do.
yeah,
I have to say,
Good conversation.
this is a good side conversation for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say side, it was
this was
actually.
kind of a core
It was
thing,
a
yeah.
core thing, and I'm glad we had it. So.
'Cause we have been on the same page.
You know, I know that you have probably more experience on the environmental side of this, just from your, you know, from your position before, so it's always encouraging to hear your thoughts on that.
And, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
even if I don't understand why some of the things are the way they are, it's still nice to hear.
Yeah, well, that's what I try to do, is just bring, you know, whatever
We all
relevant
do that.
experience I have, into, you know, my perspective on this, and working, you know, working with staff, it's, yeah, granted, I've never been through something quite like this before.
Sure.
And then thanks for all the work you've done already on this.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I just want, you know, I want us to succeed, and so, I know in the next month, there's just some critical things we gotta work out, so I'll be engaged with staff on it, and, it's challenging that we can't all, you know, always all three of us stay up to date on email and stuff as we go through, so, I don't know, I'm sure there will be updates at the next meeting.
I'll do my homework before the next meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
Not me, I'll just come unprepared.
You always prepared.
New customer update, I'm guessing maybe we have some news, news?
Well, yes and no. I mean, everything's moving along with AltaGas, so you guys will get as we get closure on contracts, and we're letting, you know, construction contracts and all that kind of stuff, you guys will get it to approve. But we don't have the design on that yet. So on AltaGas, no new report. The county, shifting gears, the county was anxious to have us put in a bid on the new jail, the new site on Hannigan. And I've talked to staff on, what's that?
I said, oh, here we go, another long conversation.
No, it's not
Well,
long.
it shouldn't be.
Okay.
So what I did with them was, they wanted to know some basic stuff like, you know, well, gosh, how much would you charge? You know,
Mhm.
and so my response back to them was really simple. It's like, look, we're more than a mile from the site, so we'd have to build a transmission line down, or you know, a substation distribution line down Hannigan. So it would be parallel to two Puget distribution lines and a Puget transmission line. I said, if you want us to generate a quote for you, here's how much it's gonna cost, here's what we think the rates are gonna be. Then go ahead and send us a letter to that effect, and we'll go out and get a bid for engineering design, so we can actually price the capital side of it in. And then begin looking at what a rate structure would look like, knowing that the actual power bill would come from Bonneville.
Right.
Because this would be in the normal growth, it affect the tier 2. And because we're already above our tier 1.
Right.
So I sent that over to the county a week and a half ago and have heard nothing. And I sent it to the staff folks and to Jed on Sat Paul's staff.
They have bigger fish to fry.
They really do. And the other thing is, from just a pure economic point of view, Puget can serve that site so easily.
And how
So-
much power is it, by the way?
Depends on who you ask. So if you ask the old utility guy that's done this a whole bunch of times, it's less than a megawatt. If you ask the people who are in charge of the design right now, it's 5 or 6 megawatts. So, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah, that's, okay.
They go by NESC, it's connected
Yeah.
load, 80% of main switch, all this other, that's how they calculate it. I actually asked for, Snohomish built one, I think, a few years back. Can you send me the bill? And they went and got it from Snohomish County Sheriff and sent it to me. And it absolutely validated my meter, that it's gonna be about a megawatt,
Yeah.
so.
I wanted to ask one question related to that. There has been a, shifting, plan for Whatcom Transit for, electrification of their bus fleet. They've delayed electrification now, with an approach that, means electrification, beginning again in the 2030s. But until 2030, they're not gonna increase their electric load very much. And so what my question is that the Whatcom Transit facility isn't that far. Current Whatcom Transit facility isn't that far from the location of the new jail. Do you have any guesstimates for whether that combined load is a more substantial load than just the jail by itself?
Well, clearly they'd wanna go in there with level 3 charging,
Mhm.
right? Or a whole raft of level 2, so that every vehicle could charge every night.
And that could quickly become much more than a megawatt, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially if they put in a bunch of level 3 charging.
For buses.
Yeah, cause they'll sit there and hum on that for a couple hours at a shot, even at level 3.
So would it be appropriate for us to ask that question of the county? And I mean, I could ask them to.
Well, I can ping staff, but it ends up at the same place, that, if it's anywhere near that location, it could be much cheaper to serve it from a capital perspective from Puget Sound Energy,
So,
much cheaper.
yeah, I get that it's cheap for a couple of reasons. It would be cheaper, right?
Well, just the capital expense, not the power supply side, that's a different issue.
Okay, why ask us? Because public power is amazing and we all love it.
Well,
Just to support public.
I had jumped in before on the other location, because it was right next to our 115.
Cause it was super easy to
Yeah,
serve,
and I
yeah.
said, look, we're a viable alternative for this site, in fact, maybe a better alternative than Puget. But it's flipped on this one.
But so maybe they're just gesturing that they still care that we were
Well, and I think
interested.
I don't know what timelines Puget's given them, or if they've given them any indication that they've got power. And right now they're short, radically short, and it's getting worse. So they may just be saying no new large loads, which would, be an opportunity for us, but.
And maybe we should go, I mean, like, it would be worth for us to ask Puget, is this something that, ask PC, is this something that you have on your radar? And, is there, do you plan to pursue this? And, what's your support plan? And is there anything we can do to help?
So I talked to Puget last week, not necessarily about this, but about geothermal.
Mhm.
And I talked to one of the guys who's architected their IRP. And his perspective was, we don't have capacity or energy to serve any new load, period. And we're not in compliance with CETA, and that's going to get much worse. And so they're really struggling right now. I don't know if that's been communicated to the folks who actually do the engineering on the ground.
Let me just throw another thing out. You stop using one facility, you start using another facility. Boy, this is almost like water, right?
Shouldn't it just transfer right over?
Luckily, we don't have an electronics rules that in place in time. But my point is that Couldn't you shift the load?
old jail's still gonna be used, just not for its current purpose.
True,
And they'll repurpose the building, the load will still be there, and, you know, so this is incremental load.
yeah.
I think our jail should develop its own microgrid.
It could.
I actually suggested that to Chad.
I think it's a great idea. Sounds like they're having
Yeah.
some issues anyway, so may as well invest in a really cool microgrid. Microgrid, speaking of resiliency, can actually help during outages
Right.
locally.
Depending on how they're configured, absolutely.
Yeah,
So you already-
Anyway, that's
you've
just
already-
my opinion.
You've already raised that with staff at the count, that
Yes.
possibility.
Mhm.
Yeah, bring your own, I hate to say it, but that's kind of like that's kind of like the theme these days, bring your own,
It's the theme of data centers for sure.
yeah.
Really big loads.
The, which leads me to something I want to, where is it on the agenda? We have a potential June 10th meeting, is that booked and is that
Oh,
it's
scheduled?
on my schedule, which means it's happening.
I think we had tentatively blocked Wednesday afternoon off, right?
That's right.
Was that June 10th?
2:30 to 4:30, yeah.
Yeah, we've got our regular meeting on June 9th.
Yeah,
Let's come back to that
okay,
for the end of the meeting.
I don't have any other new
Well,
customer update.
On this though, I mean,
but that kind of fits with new customers as well.
it kind of surprises me though, just given that, the location being in, a light industrial district, there wouldn't be, you know, that, you know, adding 5 or 6 megawatts load is not already, you know, something Puget was well ready to do. So that's interesting, but it does seem, you know, with that location that we're just not gonna be, PUD is not gonna be best positioned to serve this facility, right? Like that's, is mostly,
Can we help them in developing a microgrid?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
I mean, to some extent we could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The issue is that, you know, you gotta draw a nexus between, Phillips 66. And, cause that's where the money would come from,
Mhm.
would be from Phillips. To fund anything that we do over there unless it's de minimis staff time, which, you know, I'm perfectly willing to chip in and talk to these guys and help them out that way, but.
No, we need to
You
get.
know, if we
public
need to
funding.
write a $50,000 contract to have a consultant come in and help them, my question is, where does the money come from?
Right,
'Cause
yeah,
that-
no, I think we need to get we need to get state funding or something like that to do that kind of.
Which we probably could,
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm ever the optimist.
no, I mean, it can all be financed and pay for itself and everything.
Yeah, but the preliminary work, nobody's gonna give you project finance until you get a performer, so we gotta finance the performer too.
Well, since it's for the jail, maybe we can talk to the Economic Development Council and get
Yeah,
them to fund it.
But yeah, but there's
Sorry,
still,
I'm, you know,
There's still-
we have other asks
Yeah.
that we're still, you know,
Not looking
that we
at
might
it.
be going to that for, so,
Department of Justice has.
Yeah.
They might, yeah, at least for the study.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we all have a really great plan.
okay, it sounds like that's still an ongoing conversation with the county. On, that's our only new customer update though, like these other,
Nothing from all the guys.
no, or from other, you know, prospects we've been hearing of, there's no one's,
No, Andrew and I have talked to a number of data centers in the last couple of months, and every time we get to the timeline, they say, we'll get back to you, we never hear from them again.
okay.
So just let us keep doing that. I mean,
Okay.
we're trying to attract them, but the problem is when you need 400 megawatts and you gotta wait 5 years to get a study to determine whether or not you can get it and at what cost, they move on.
Did you say we're trying to attract them?
Just any new customer, we say yes, and we have the initial meeting with them. And, all of the data centers, when they find out the time involved, they just walk away.
It is such a hot button issue right now, especially
it's
after
pretty-
what happened in Utah. Like, people would light my butt on fire if I was like, we're trying to attract data centers. They would be like, that I
Yeah.
would be burned out with torches and pitchforks up in the north.
Let me jump in, I'm gonna get a memo out on just kind of the considerations, it's gonna be under attorney-client privilege along the lines of what we discussed in the executive session, because there are legal risks associated with that, and you'll have that before I leave for vacation, I think, for
Oh, cool.
hearing it.
Yeah, always, we didn't know it was vacation, so, okay.
Yeah,
So before, by our next meeting.
Yeah,
We'll have a
The
memo.
10th meeting in particular.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we have a regular meeting on the 9th, correct?
Yeah,
We set aside this time on the 10th for this. I thought there might actually be. Sounded like we might, like, there's still, like, with the timing of that, there's potential, maybe we wanna even use, we could even wanna use that for a meeting with. Nooksack if things, you know, are at that point, right? So I think maybe holding the time tentatively. But maybe we don't need to. Devote that time to this if we could, I mean, we could just spend time on the 9th on it.
yeah, potentially,
If we have.
potentially, yeah. We should,
if-
you're
yeah.
just saying, let's make sure we hold that space on our calendar on the
I
10th.
think holding the space for now, cause granted, you know, recognizing this is like today is a day where there's more extra time where we could spend talking about this. And
But we don't
there
have-
wasn't
we
quite
need-
enough time to really prepare for it and needing just the basic briefings and. All of that on. Yeah, so we can hold off on going further into it, but recognizing. The need is there, so.
Speaking of recognizing, was that your nice way of saying, Jamie, don't talk about data setting?
No, it's not, it's just. I think it's good to get this kind of framework that you're gonna have the discussion, right?
Yeah.
It's not, it's just
Yeah.
because you guys, you have opinions and you have your public policy minded approach to things. And then it's just translating that to PUD.
There's a flurry, in case you all don't know, and I think Jamie does know, there's a flurry of social media activity on data centers, there's a flurry of activity in local political forums on,
Yeah.
It's
On
a
data
very
centers?
hot button right now, as it
Hot
should
button,
be, I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you know. We're all worried.
Yeah, I just kind of think it'd be super convenient to just steer clear of for me this year, but entirely, but the reason, you know, like I want us to do this work on it because, yeah, we can't wait. I mean, we have to, we need to make policy, and I'm not just talking about like, you know, data centers they're significant because that is a sector that we're regularly hearing from now, right? That there's interest in development, but just, you know, beyond that, generally, you know, we're trying to grow as a utility and add customers. We
Yeah.
do need to get our policies straight out so we can be, you know, fair, objective, responsible in our planning and make sure we're serving
to
everyone
feel the-
well.
we have to feel
including
these
our-
balls, otherwise they could hit us in.
Cause I don't wanna keep raising rates on our existing customers every time, you know, someone else wants to come along, right? It's not, is that really- is that really, maybe?
Like, is that you?
I want us to,
He says no data centers.
you know, we have to
Can we edit that out?
be able to set our, you know, just have clear expectations, right? Cause we don't have, you know, there's not unlimited resources. And I don't, you know, we might just, you know, I also have, you know,
I know,
mixed views on the whole thing too,
Yeah.
everyone does, right?
Yeah.
Like anything.
I mean, my views aren't as mixed as other people's, but I also recognize that we need customers. I just don't like the word attract.
Yeah, no, I heard that too, and I'm just getting careful.
Well, just one thing for the policy folks to think about.
Yeah.
And it's true, those data centers don't generate a lot of long-term jobs. And they've got most of the water issues resolved in terms of water use and they generate a ton of tax base for our county, which desperately needs it.
They do,
And
but
it doesn't,
yeah.
doesn't create load on sheriff's office and, you know, others like that. So-
One question that I have though is this idea that like they're not they've got all the water issues worked out. I looked into it. No, they don't. Conceptually, they have all of the water issues worked out conceptually. In practice,
No, the
No.
current ones don't.
yeah.
Current ones don't.
But so, and who's to say that anything moving forward, they can use that concept in, you know, in practice? There's just, it doesn't satisfy me right now. They haven't employed that concept well at all. Like if it costs more money, would they just not? Do you know, like, I just don't, I'm just not buying it yet, cause I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Well. Less water would mean more power, and I think from our side of things, right, the water
Great.
use is less of a,
maybe less of a hurdle than the power capacity required.
Providing it's built at Cherry Point. Yeah, if it's up north of the confluence, then it'd be on water issues, it'd get much larger.
Right.
But we do have capacity to serve quite a lot more water, and we already serve quite a lot, and so.
Man,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
one
even
of the-
wanna have this conversation, you probably shouldn't either.
No, that's what I'm saying, it's,
Yeah.
and granted, I just wanna be clear, when
Yeah.
we're talking about our new customer policies, I'm talking about water
Yeah.
and power, I'm
So
talking about.
just bring me.
Where, wanna get straight on,
Yeah,
how much can we actually serve, basically,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
so,
capacity.
yeah.
Okay. Well, this was a great conversation.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, let's go to,
Was on the new business?
Oh, good.
So just as a reminder, what we're working on is figuring out what actually is policy and then what is the work procedure underneath it.
Yeah.
And, today Lisa's bringing forward our lockout tagout. So the policy is around, do we maintain a safe workplace? Yes, I hope that's your answer. And then, what is it staff is proposing to do to meet those requirements? In the future, the procedures can be rewritten without coming back here as long as they conform with the policy that's passed by the commission. So, remember that, and to go back, we had this discussion about, job descriptions. You guys, you approved the org chart, you approved the budget. Staff writes job descriptions. And in the past, I don't know why, all the job descriptions were brought here for approval every time, it made no sense. And so this is the first look at what that balanced approach would look like. And with that, Lisa, I want to kick it off to you. Are you making the presentation or is Kurt?
No, yeah, I have, we have the action item before you were just asking for approval of this new policy.
Can we take a little break first?
Oh,
Before
absolutely.
the-
we're gonna recess the meeting for just a few minutes, let's say, come back at what, 9:42?
Yeah, that's fine.
9:45?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
9:45?
thank you.
It's 9:44 and we'll resume the public meeting. Are we live? We're
It
good?
looks like.
Okay,
And recording, yes.
and next item is new business, approving policy 1405, controlling hazardous energy lockout tagout. Lisa, please.
Good morning, commissioners. This is, just, again, continuing in the process of renewing and updating the policies and our procedures as we go through, and we brought a couple of more administrative things to you. This is on the operations side. And so we've worked with Kurt and also with, John Littlefield, our electric system supervisor, to go through these and essentially, and I know you asked, previously if we were doing a new policy to bring you the outdated policy so you could see it. And in this case, there isn't one. So
Oh.
that's why it's not there. What we had was a lot of, program, which was a big document that we had that, a consultant, participated in, and it's a really lengthy document that's almost entirely procedure and would not be appropriate here for you or to waste your time with. So we are now splitting that up, as Chris mentioned, with, we are doing with all of our policies and procedures as we go through. So, the procedures are actually quite lengthy, and they vary because you can have, these lockout tagout situations in both electric and water. So, there's extensive procedures and the policy has been narrowed down to the things that are specific regarding safety and compliance with the regulations.
So, I'm sure a quick
Oh,
question.
please, go ahead.
So I really like this approach of having, this policies that the commission approves. And then having a bunch of supporting procedures in some cases. I assume in other cases, there's things like job descriptions that.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Meaning we could have a policy on what we're looking for in people, but then we don't write the job descriptions.
Correct, and the
Um,
policy includes well, not policy, but the, approval like of salaries.
Yeah.
Those kind of things in the budget, yeah.
Yeah. So I very much like that approach. One of the things that the question comes to mind is that commission has to have the ability to see that the policy, that the procedures are consistent with the policy. So not per se of not approving individual procedures, but to see how the policy is reflected in the procedures.
Mhm.
That's an important thing. It's part of how we know that the policy is relevant. Otherwise, we would just be
Yeah.
rubber stamping policies that are drafted by staff without actually having any way of knowing what does the policy actually mean to the execution of the organization.
Okay,
So there should be some way, and it doesn't have to be every, obviously, it wouldn't be wise for it to be every procedure,
Mhm.
every time. I'm almost done. With my thought, but some way for us to be able to see that flow.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Oh, so I was just gonna observe that typically on a board of directors for an investor-owned company, they would have what's called an audit committee. And there would be one or more members of the board that would be that function delegated to. And usually it's focused on financial audits, but I've also seen them focused on exactly what you're getting at.
Mhm.
Where, here we've got all these personnel policies and then, I need a sample, 10% an audit, not a complete inspection.
Mhm.
And you just pull give you a list of the policies and you say, I want that one, that one, that one, and the procedures that go with it, and then that person would report back to the commission. So it'd be one of the three of you would be the audit committee.
That's
And-
I'd like to propose something different, maybe an annual meeting where we do where we pick something, some area.
Well, you're small enough that the three of you could be the audit committee.
Yeah, that's my
I was
point.
just trying to think of a way to lower the load on you individually, but it's, that's your call.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I think we're trying to accomplish the same thing, is that we're not all involved in it all the time. And I'm thinking of limiting it by time, maybe having a meeting every year that's focused on auditing a particular slice of the policy.
Well, I would suggest a random draw. That you look at all the policies and just, literally, I wanna look at that one, that one, that one, and that one. And supporting procedures, just.
Yeah, we have a table of contents, we could do that.
I would suggest that we wait until we're finished updating them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Please.
I
Yeah.
do.
Laugh at me, Robin.
Really good point.
I would suggest that we not take that on this year.
I like where we tell you stuff you already know. I think that's a lot of fun.
She loves that.
These are all numbered wrong, Lisa. Why are they numbered wrong?
You would definitely find that, definitely. Yeah, I think that that's definitely something that we could look to do towards the end of next year. Or second half of next year.
I think staff loves it when commissioners tell them stuff that they know is already.
Yeah, I have a question and a note.
Okay,
So one, so this policy didn't exist prior, so this is a new policy, and I
Correct.
love that it aligns with our strategic plan where we prioritize safety. So I just wanted to note that was noticed. The other question, just because I've never seen this type of policy before, only the employee who applied the lock and tag may remove it.
that's.
And what, can you tell us why that's so important?
Because you don't want someone downstream working on a line that someone else can energize behind them.
Gotcha.
You wouldn't want someone else to have the ability to remove it because they would be making an assumption that, oh, they meant to take this off,
Gotcha.
but.
There
in
is
fact-
there is nobody inside that machine right now.
Okay,
Let it rotate.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah, you never know. In fact,
we talked about this,
Yeah.
yeah.
one of the places I worked, one of the problems was you could have 5 or 6 tags put on by different people.
Uh-huh.
And for a line section that was gonna be out like over the winter or something in the mountains. And then when you go to take the tags off in the spring, 2 of them had retired or been fired or passed away. And, now what do you do? So we had a little procedure for what do you do when you can't get the person who was.
See, that's what
But
I
that's
was
a
thinking.
procedure.
Okay, so there's a procedure that follows that.
Right.
Okay.
Correct, yeah, but it would have to be, there's a verification process before, right? And that person would have to actually be not available rather than just.
Well, and then you've gotta run out the line and make sure that there's no, hidden concealed danger that remains, that person might have known about that you don't.
Uh-huh.
Before you energize the line, or
There'd be a whole inspection process before someone would be able to remove someone else's tag.
Right, okay, and so we do have that in our procedures.
It's in the procedures that are in process right now,
In
that
process.
John and I are reviewing, yeah, but it is
Gotcha.
included, yeah.
But
it's why it's in policy, to ensure that it's in the procedure.
Yes.
That's part of the safety.
Right.
You know, part of this is making sure, these are the critical things, there's a lot of other critical pieces to this that are part of the procedure. But these are the pieces that everyone involved that I mentioned felt were needed to be documented, so that there was no mistake, that was not an optional thing.
Got ya.
gotcha.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Next, Commissioner, please.
Yeah, so I have another kind of, a little
Sure.
bit more technical question now. So, there's safety risks around electrical. There are mechanical safety risks. There are thermal, steam. We don't deal with that, I don't think. But I recall, working in an environment where we had, lockout, tagout like practices around steam. Then there's, safety risks around a few other things. I'm not gonna capture everything.
Biggest one's confined spaces.
Yeah, or, thank you, yeah.
And that's
Do
its
it.
own policy.
Yeah, so is this intended to be specifically for energy then, and then there's gonna be similar policies for?
Yeah, that's another good question, Chris and I, that was a conversation that we had. So confined spaces is its own policy, and you could have a confined space that doesn't have hazardous energy. And these are gonna reference each other. So in the end, they're gonna reference the other policy numbers and the procedures. They're not noted here because we don't have those
Okay,
numbers.
so this is just getting the ball rolling.
This is the first one in the operation side, so,
Mhm.
yeah, and we wanted to, we're starting with primarily with safety. As Commissioner noted, and, kind of in alliance with the strategic plan.
Great.
All right, so do we want to take a vote on adopting this policy?
Yeah, on the action memo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move we approve policy 1405, controlling hazardous energy, the lockout tagout.
A second. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye, and I'm just really happy about this.
me too, yeah.
Yeah,
Right, nothing,
That concludes all one.
Yeah, great.
well, nothing's more important than the safety of our employees, so yeah, we're all glad to see this. And we'll next we move into commissioner reports and
Yeah, sure, I'll start. So nothing super exciting. I did attend the YRO one board meeting last Wednesday online. It was not the most exciting of board meetings. I didn't get into any arguments about inchoate rights or anything like that.
you didn't have to rein anybody in?
So that's good. It was also led by Sapol this time, and so usually, our fearless leader here, runs the meetings, well, he had been.
Yeah, I will cover that. Well, normally I
Yeah.
run, the governmental caucus.
Yeah. But Sapol, I don't recall him running the YRO one. I've been on it for 3 years.
Usually Gary runs it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay, so Sapol will be running that meeting more often, do you think?
If he's available,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, the last time that we had a meeting, he was a member of the audience and not running the
Yeah, and
meeting.
Gary ran it. I
Yeah.
didn't understand that, but
Yeah, okay.
that's their issue.
Okay, I'm always trying to figure out who's on first sometimes when it comes to YRO one. There were a couple of, well, there was no action taken during that meeting, but there were a couple of presentations. One was, it's Tova, right? From Nooksack, is that her, Tova?
Triva.
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 Yeah, okay, Triva did a presentation on salmon. I've actually seen that presentation from her before, I think at the water meeting, yeah. Talking about salmon recovery and numbers and stuff, which was, it was good.
At the
but-
Salmon Summit.
Yeah, at the salmon summit, but again, I've seen it before. It was kind of a rehash of information on both presentations. The interesting thing about that, just to pull out and to think about for us is like, once again, doubled down on using the Utah State model for water. And
And I said nothing.
he was very quiet, just so yes, very quiet. But it's something that continues to be interesting to me as we progress. Adjudication, water.
Did Triva raise any alarm bells about the South Fork this summer?
Yes.
Yes,
And what were those, what was her words around that? I'm really curious.
Well, so I can't remember her exact words, but it was like the presentation before that was like, don't be super alarmed, and then her presentation was like, and this is alarming, so,
She referenced the
Yeah.
2021 kill.
she did reference the
And-
21, yeah.
And said that we could have, similar conditions this summer and in the South Fork.
Yeah,
I can't remember her exact words.
but it sort of was at odds with the presentation prior to that, where
It
it's like,
was, yeah.
where it was, where the presenter was like, don't be too concerned, like, we're not in a major drought. So take that for what it is. And attend YR1 meetings just for,
Well, and I think isn't it part of those, there is uncertainty too. It's
there
worth
is,
saying,
there is
but
uncertainty, yeah.
As a respected technical staff person, they do not want to make statements that they can't substantiate or be responsible for raising alarm, and I respect that.
Well, I mean, I asked a pointed question. It was a climatologist from Department of Ecology that was there before. And contrary to what's out in the scientific press and the popular press, there are strong indicators that this is gonna be a fairly exceptional El Nino this year.
There are,
And, you couple that with 40% of snowpack up here right now. And this is a problem. And I asked, are there any indicators or anything? And she said, oh, no, we don't look at long-term stuff.
yeah, the
So that's-
climatologist really downplayed the fact that we likely are heading into a strong El Nino, that really
Who
downplayed
downplayed
it. The climatologist that was from ecology that was giving the presentation.
And I read
to
some,
Triva.
I don't remember where, I was probably in my thread of things I get through the PUD, about, estimates saying, also downplaying the severity of the weather conditions, and we shall see, time will tell.
Well, there's a scientific paper out right now that there is a blob of hot water that's at depth in the Western Pacific. And by hot water, 13.5 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And it's subsurface, and it takes the winds, which are now blowing, to surface that and really cause the hot El Nino. So when I was asking specifically, are there any indicators, I was really hoping she was gonna go there. And say, well, yeah, we don't know how this is gonna play out, but this is one of the precursors that is a bomb, and it could go off. It might not, but it could. And she wouldn't go there. And it was like, darn it, you missed the chance.
And it's partially, like, she doesn't wanna be,
I think she had marching orders.
yeah,
Don't
Not-
talk about El Nino.
I would love to see us create like just a list of like certainties surrounding water, right? Because it's. I know, but at least it's somewhere to start from, right? Because I do feel like I
It
go to
does-
these
it
meetings,
rains.
it's like,
it does rain,
Yeah.
you do acknowledge,
sometimes,
sometimes,
sometimes it
it
rains.
rains. As a
Um,
matter of fact, it's raining right now.
it is raining right now, and that is the certainty that we have,
That's
but
our list.
it's been frustrating, because multiple times I have gone to these, to these meetings, and you get contradictory information in one short sitting. And if we can't agree on anything, I mean, we can't agree on which models, we can't agree on like whether or not we're in a drought, or whether or not we should be, agree,
I
and
think that we in the
Yeah.
stack would be in complete agreement that we're worried about summer temperatures and flows in
Yes.
South Fork this year.
absolutely, I'm
Say that,
worried.
There's certainty.
Yes.
I'm worried.
Yeah, anyway, so that's what the meeting looked like. I kind of do wish more people attended these meetings, because you do get good information, and you do, I know it's super hot stuff, super sexy hot, not like hot, but it's that too.
So, I mean, I guess in terms of, of course, that we have the Whatcom Watershed Information Network that gets information out. People do participate in that, people
Yeah.
do show up for some of those things. I think our staff has been part of the effort to try to increase education for.
Our staff has been very, actually, so the Whatcom PUD puts a lot of effort into what goes on with YR1. I know with Rebecca, and you've been very involved in multiple ways. I go to meetings.
Yeah, we punch way above our weight.
We really do when it comes to this, we really do. And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering, as commissioners, are there things we can do to improve further, continue to support, and it gets back to, it's the thing that you've actually said that I've been negligent, and I'll be really clear, is that, keeping track of what we're putting on social media and sharing it and supporting that. I'll get into that. I mean, it's relatively new that we're starting to do this. I need to get in that habit of supporting. the
Actually,
communication channel.
Yes, I have something that I need to do for that, so that's gonna help, and you and I and you, we can all do it. You get on your Facebook, you don't have Facebook, do you? Do you have Facebook?
I
No,
don't know.
you can get on your social media channels and invite all of your friends. Sometimes I think you have to do it one at a time, or the people that are at least interested to like the PUD pages, so it sends them an actual notification, right? A tool is requesting that you follow Whatcom PUD, and then that can really help us grow our
Okay, yeah.
our followers, which is really important, because I know that Lisa has been putting out a ton of stuff on,
Yeah, I don't want her to feel like.
yeah, on our
not getting-
Facebook. Yeah, and I'm there liking and loving all of the content, and sometimes
Okay,
by myself.
that's a very
Yeah.
simple, that's something I
It's
can
a
do.
simple ask, right? Let's
I-
do that.
I will do that one thing.
I'm gonna write it
now
on my
next
hand
week.
as a reminder.
Okay, thank you,
Ask
thank you.
Facebook.
Jamie.
Okay, that's it for me, thanks.
Should I go next?
You can, yes, please, go ahead.
I got three things, but they're mostly pretty quick. Well, Buddha, I'm gonna make sure, as when I follow up with George on the planning for next year's potential Whatcom Skagit joint hosting of, one of the meetings,
Are you talking about George Con?
George Sidhu.
Oh, okay.
The GM of Skagit PUD.
too.
Yeah, okay.
But so you,
To include somehow or another, exploring whether there's a piece we could bring Ant into that.
Yeah,
to
that'd be
Bring
fun.
some animals in for our
but
meetings.
wait, hold on though, before you get too far down the road with this. Skagit hosted last summer,
Last year, yeah,
But yeah,
so what,
not this year,
and
the year after.
you're talking about potentially next year
yeah,
hosting Waputa again.
us jointly with Skagit.
Jointly.
Yeah,
And isn't that a bit to take on, like, for staff and everything to host? It's also about, it's for most of the PUDs, it's about the farthest they could go.
it is, Liz and many other commissioners have said to me that we want Whatcom to be participating. She's been here now for several years, participating pretty reliably. We'd love to have, and so then I said, well, I don't think we could do it on our own. We'd need help.
Right,
Then I went to George and said, George, would you help us? And he said, yeah, I'll help you. We did it last year.
right, well, for them, because they got a big new building and all the
Yeah, yeah,
space and
yeah,
everything, we don't
yeah,
even
I'm
have,
not
we
saying
can't even
doing it here.
physically
Not
fit everyone in our
I'm not
office.
saying it, not here, no,
So
that's what I'm saying.
they would hope, but then we would be like a joint host.
Yes.
Even though it would be in Skagit.
Yes,
So what does that entail then for us to be a joint host?
maybe bringing in like, doing a geothermal update or whatever would be appropriate to bring up at that time.
Well, then on the social side, we could easily get you guys could easily get dinner cruise going out of Bellingham. for
Oh,
instance.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's,
Yeah,
and
Drew.
of course, that logistically, we would be on the hook for some of that work, but the
Yeah.
money would be collected through Waputa.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're just.
I'm looking at
stuff
the
like that.
terror on Lisa's face. I'm noting the concern. It is, I think that would be it would be a heavy lift
We
for
would get,
staff.
you could get a white,
Heavy lift for one staff person.
Yeah,
Right,
For an organization this size, having assisted in hosting many statewide conferences in the past. I've done so like when I was with the city of Blaine in conjunction with other large cities like the city of Bellingham, where they have a much larger staff to
There's a
pull from.
department for that.
There's a department for that. So this is a one person situation, which is very different from other places you're talking about. So yes, we're small and in that similar size.
yeah, we're not I'm not, obviously not capable of, or nor would I commit us to anything. It's.
I guess-
I like the dream.
Yeah.
I get,
I like it.
I'm not
And-
opposed to the
and if it's
idea,
not
but
next year,
I
maybe it's a
need
year
much
after.
more information about the logistical.
Yeah.
Hours and time that would be required for us to
yeah,
co-host something of that size.
I suppose like much of the work does fall on the Waputa staff, right? But it's just that if
That's
it's,
it. I don't know.
You-
I mean, I don't.
Like the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why don't I
But
take
there would
the-
be some coordination and
I'll take on the task of setting up a Zoom, just to explore the topic with Wapuda staff
I guess I just,
Okay,
and George or somebody from Skagit.
and Tony, probably.
Yeah,
I'm just surprised that Skagit would wanna host so soon after hosting the last one.
no, we
Yeah.
talked about it, yeah.
And also just that, like, it's one thing if like, okay, if Skagit is gonna host again, cool. I kind of regretted last time. There was like, oh yeah, I should have gotten everyone more people to come up and check out Whatcom since
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were, we hadn't planned
Yeah.
anything. So if it's just like planning
And it might be in the following,
something where some folks can come up and do a tour here, you know, like,
Yeah.
that's one thing versus,
Bellingham dinner cruise, local farm tour.
yeah,
there's,
Karaoke contest.
no.
but maybe
I'm
it doesn't
it's
necessarily,
gotta include line
it
dance.
doesn't have to be us
Yes.
hosting. It could just
If that
be
was
like-
nailed karaoke already, it's gotta be line dancing.
Line dancing, I'm here for it, you know
Yeah.
I am.
Or the
Yeah.
whole deal's off, the whole
Yeah.
deal's off.
Done, done.
I know that enough of line dancing group and then period.
Yeah, well, you had a.
The Linden line
Yeah,
dancers,
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah.
You bet. Sorry, we're really getting off.
There's a,
Okay, so.
well, granted, I mean, there's if you brought in A&T, then there's like conflict of interest things or whatever. If we brought animals in from your farm, right? We have to.
Bring people out to the farm.
Yeah,
Can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for
Um,
that. I thought that was gonna be
yeah.
quick.
you don't have to pay me
Uh,
money.
Okay,
Pet
okay.
my pig for.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay, just keep us posted if that's
Yeah.
something that's gonna happen.
okay, on a more serious note, I have drafted some language for something I'd like to, bring to the commission for, the purpose of discussion and, so the motion that I drafted is the motion to request staff to evaluate the capital and operating cost for an industrial water delivery station for members of the general public. Delivery will be to tanker trucks or trucks with totes no less than 250 gallons in compliance with DOT standards for water transportation. Staff may also propose high-level requirements of the station using reasonable assumptions of the usage from the public. So that's the topic.
So
and
during
I
times of
drafted it
drought.
as a motion, but I mean, it doesn't have to be a motion. So,
So what you're talking about is like during times of drought,
well, it's something that we would have
Yeah.
available.
we
I
could
think it's
load.
important not to
Can I
define
start the
it.
conversation we had?
Please,
Yeah.
yeah, please take it from here.
So, right now, down at plant one, there's a multi-manifold that you can actually, contact us, and WRS and others have done this, and they use the water combustion input and things like that. So that's been there, it's been existing. What Kurt and the operations guys are looking at is, when they do the plant one rebuild, having a filling station that's available there so that people can walk up and drive up, and, if they need 250 gallons in a tote in the back of their pickup, or if they need 20,000 gallons in a tanker truck. And it's metered, they pay for it, we have public access, the whole 9 yards. They're looking at how to configure the plant so that we have that anyway.
Brilliant, love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just when Atul and I had the conversation, and I went back and talked to Kurt, and he said, oh yeah, we're already looking into that. And I said, well, here's some more things. They weren't thinking about full public access and billing. Because they probably haven't seen much of it, but when I was working in another utility, what they had, the water side had this snout right on the Ohio River. And it'd come out of their plant. And people would, farmers and everybody else just drive up to this thing, and it's coin operated. That's how they recovered the money. Now, clearly, we use a different system today, but.
Dollar bills.
It could do that, could do credit cards. I mean, there's a million different ways you can do it. But my point is that, it wouldn't be a 1950s coin op
Sure.
thing. But most other big water utilities have something like that, and we are a big water utility, and it's very possible. The sales amount is gonna be nothing.
Oh, it's not a
got-
financial thing, it's.
Yeah.
We just wanna recover the costs on it. but,
Yeah, I think that's great, of course.
To some degree, this is, I haven't let go of something that a colleague, your predecessor, Commissioner Murphy, was really wanted us to do, and I think it made sense, and I think you've been very
Mhm.
supportive of this idea too, so. I just, do you want to make it as a motion?
That's up to you guys. I'm letting you know what we're including in our design criteria.
Yeah, you guys haven't read it yet, why don't I just send the email to you, Chris, and then we'll just put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
All right, so, I mean, is that, the desire of the commission as a whole.
Is that okay?
So,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah,
to
that's fine, yeah.
we'd have something in writing,
Yeah, I'll email it to Chris
next
and then we'll
meeting.
put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
okay, just as like, action to approve.
Yeah,
Or
action to
motion.
approve to just request that staff cost it out for us,
Yeah, cause that's the other thing, if I bring it back and it's like, it's an extra $5 million,
then don't do it.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna be anything like that, but I'm just saying
If it's
that, you know,
50, if it's 50 grand, it's something that we should approve.
exactly. And then, you know, what kind of rates would we have to charge to recover the costs over time, what kind of sales do people have? All that.
And, but we need, so this would be non-potable water.
Right,
Yeah, which is probably important to tell people. So if your well runs dry, it's maybe not a good solution for you.
oh, terrible solution for
Yeah,
that.
okay.
But, you know, in terms of, you know, like one of the water districts or somebody, if they wanted to get a load of water and then run it through their potable plant
Right,
and make it drinkable, they could do that. I mean, that's up to them in the health department.
gotcha, yeah,
That ain't us,
yeah,
but we'd be happy to help them out, because we
Yeah.
know that a lot of these water associations are
I
gonna be
know.
in trouble.
yeah.
Peter, do they need a motion to ask staff to get them more information? I mean,
No,
No,
yeah.
You don't think so?
I just wanna make sure the commission in the whole is behind it. and
Yeah.
we'll
So you
go
want
ahead.
head knots from the whole commission?
Yeah, I've got 2 out of 3 right now, and I think I've got 3 out of 3.
not that head.
Oh, yeah,
Commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 out of 3, we're good.
Okay, well, that's good then.
We were good at 2 out of 3, better at 3 out of 3.
And then, another thing I wanted to talk about is, last Thursday, I attended the, Nooksack Tribe's salmon ceremony. And, it was worth it for one story of one, it was such a great experience for me. It's very, very low key compared to First Salmon at, Lummi Nation. But equally impactful and memorable. It was worth it for me for just a one story that a fisherman had to tell about how the, solidarity and support and community that of the fisherman community at Nooksack. It was just very heartwarming and like represented everything we value as community, how they support each other. But there's many things like that. It was the absolute spectacularly delicious salmon, so that made it worth it too. Then there was an elder woman who told some traditional stories of the Nooksack people. That made it worth it. I would have gone just for that too. And then lastly, but there's other reasons, but the opportunity to meet the new chair. And also the new GM. And you guys know about the new chair, but the new GM, you may or may not know, is Nick
Right.
Lewis.
Yeah.
And Nick is a real go-getter.
I didn't know he was in that.
Well, he worked for the Lummi Nation for
I
a
He
long
was on a
time.
council member.
Yeah, and council member. And in what he said to me was that he's returning home. He spent a lot of time working with Lummi Nation. He was at the Colville tribe for several years too.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think he's just gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's, we'll probably see some of the benefits of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just, super excited for the changes at the Nooksack tribe over the last year. And by the way, the prior chairwoman is now working, at the Lummi Nation too. It was a demanding year, being chair. A year or two, was it 1 year? She was 2 years, I think, as the chair of Nooksack tribe. And but she's really enjoying what she's doing too. So I just feel like it was a great evening for me personally, and then also a great relationship, some, work too. So it was a really enjoyable evening. So. Good.
I'm glad he went.
Yeah, I'm glad I was let go. The next event that I've attended and I hope to attend is this coming weekend. The Nooksack community does their tribal canoe races on Lake Whatcom.
Mhm.
And, it's, you know, very accessible, it's just so fun to watch, the canoe races, cause their whole approach to competition is so unique. It is competition,
Mhm.
but this collaborative competition that happens in the canoe race community is a special kind of competition. And it's worth seeing it. It's worth seeing it. For me, that's what I get the most out of it. And of course, if you love boats, then it's really entertaining too,
Oh,
so,
but don't call it a boat. It's a canoe. That's what they always say.
okay. Yeah, definitely throw me in the water.
No, yeah, that's the rule. You get thrown in the water.
If you call it a boat, you get thrown in the water. That's right. I remember that, yeah. Well, luckily I'm not on the boat right now, so you guys don't have to throw me in the water. I got wet enough today. Thank you, that's my report.
Well, yeah, shoot, I wish I'd made it last week for that too. We'll try to make some of the canoe races. I've seen them out there on the lake before. I did, however, I managed to make it to the Lummi Nation's first salmon ceremony. I think that was the 14th or so, last week before, and yeah, again, just wonderful to take part in. Just one of the most, delicious fish you could ever have, and yeah, really enriching and humbling to be able to be part of that in the community and hear, the local youth telling stories and all of it. Was also able to attend, there's a commemoration ceremony for a new longhouse called the House of Healing on campus of Western Washington University. And so it was, really a whole day of, hearing youth and elders share with all of us. It was really just an amazing thing to witness. So and it's really cool. I recommend checking out the facility when you get a chance.
At Western?
Yeah. It's on
And how is that facility going to be managed and operated?
well, I think I think that it's a university facility. I know it was there's sort of the whole project came about in collaboration with the Native American Student Union. And Laura Ballou, who's the tribal liaison for the university. But it's a Native cultural learning center. That's, I think there's gonna be it'll be, an event space and educational facility. But pretty cool. Yeah, just make a note of that since, but there's kind of a lot in the last couple of weeks. I did want to spend some time talking about Whatcom County Council, just because, I reported out 2 weeks ago, and then I think spent pretty much the rest of the day after lunch, all afternoon, and well into the evening at the council chambers. As I know a lot of folks from the public did. I think there was at least 100 employees of the Cherry Point Industry, where the refineries, our customers, came out to speak to the county council. And I had some good conversations, with those folks there, and sat there and listened to the testimonies. Basically, 2 weeks ago, the council did basically walk back policies that were of concern, and I think pretty much seemed to resolve much of what was at issue. But I think that happened before everyone had already been planning to come out, and so still came and delivered their testimonies, but basically just out of concern that opening up any kind of new processes, for new regulations could have all kinds of impacts to the industries, and there's a lot of reticence, of course, about going down that road. I know there is for me, just after having given for more than 5 years, it basically consumed my life. And a whole lot of time and stress for a lot of people. I know that like thousands of members of the public participated in that process to
arrive at a, the development code that we have now. So, granted, the county council is going through their comprehensive plan update process, so I think some things were raised, just, language to put on the table for discussion. And, that, just when I thought that was, everyone kind of thought that was put to rest, at the meeting last week, Councilmember Ellenboss brought forward a bunch of new policy language, on Cherry Point, and also some directly related to geothermal and our, and renewable energy development.
Yeah.
So, which I'll say, I generally, like what Councilmember Allenboss, is bringing forward. I think it's, really I like the sentiment of it. I think it was, take it as an attempt to try to, affirm what's already there and provide a little bit more clarity toward the end of regulatory certainty. But this was language that kind of came forward during, a special council meeting last Tuesday. I think it's not, it was not in the agenda, no one saw it beforehand. And it's this very end of a comp plan update process where they're already struggling to get everything else tied up, to adopt. So, it stirs up a lot of, as far as like, there isn't enough time to go through like the stakeholder conversations necessary to figure out like what kind of language in this area we would want to land on. Granted, I think it's a really good draft. And so I've been interested in engaging that discussion. I think tomorrow morning I have a meeting with some council members and folks from BP and other industries potentially. Talked about it a bit with our climate impact advisory committee last week. It's like not really clear if anything's going to get done right now on this, or if it's really just, toward opening up a conversation to do something in its own process. But if you wanted, I could pull it up and we could look at it and talk about it, because some of it was, I think, well, Councilmember Scanlon sent it to Chris, and I'm not sure if you all were.
We received, I know I received some information. Was it John Sidkin? Didn't he send something? I
John
know.
Scanlon.
So Scanlon, when I read it, I saw Sitkin. I was like, oh, it's so nice that he's so involved still. Okay, so it was Scanlon, just kidding. No, but
You would have seen, I think I CC'd everybody on the response.
yeah, and I appreciate that, that language. It also just sort of emphasizes that, this is a nonpartisan issue, right? Like this is something we can all rally behind.
But I'd like to raise a concern.
No.
That, concern is this, is that, in the past, I've been a, planning commissioner
Mhm.
for 8 years, termed up. One of the things that I think, regardless of what your values or beliefs are, and we have a huge diversity of values and beliefs in Whatcom County.
Mhm.
We all have to respect, in my opinion, the process. And the process is that substantial changes to the comp plan should be made, but they happen early in the process. And that when it goes to the council, after the planning commission has reviewed it, that is a time to make changes that are modest. And when the council has, and many council members have made major structural changes to the comp plan late in the game, I don't care whether I agree with it or not, it's not the right time.
But do you see this a tool as being a deviation or just an underlining of language that already exists? Cause that's how I saw it. I didn't see it as a major deviation, but more of an emphasis on like these non-carbon like energy sources and prioritizing that. We already have a utilities chapter. right? That
Yeah.
we've spent a lot of time working on. So like, I didn't see it as like, the thing that really got people upset recently was land back language, right? That's a major
major, yeah.
deviation in policy.
I'm referring
Yeah.
more to that than I am
Yeah.
about these latest.
But I just saw Ben and I was a little surprised. I'll just like you showed a little surprise. I was, that was put out there, but I don't think it's a major deviation, but I guess I don't know. You might know more than I do about whether or not that could be perceived as,
I just wanted to raise the
Yeah.
concern that
Yeah.
there is.
cause I agree
I
with
just want to
you.
be clear that Ben approached me and said he'd send me language
Mhm.
and I never got that. And so I haven't had a chance to review what Ben's proposed, but if you guys have reviewed it and you think it's not major.
It was fairly
then-
simple.
Well, no, some of it is major. But again, that's just like a subtlety of, where, I take this is a rough, this just reads like a rough draft. And also like what's been put forward is it's not situated as revisions to a comp plan. It's like a rough draft Word document with, it doesn't specifically say where these policies would go.
it's true,
And
in my-
it all needs to be
to be
put
honest.
into the context of a whole chapter with related language all around it, right? Or actually, there's land use chapter, utilities, resource lands, multiple chapters, in which all the language goes into a context. So you can only, to respond to it, have to be in that. But again, like what I wanted to, like, it doesn't, what I want to try to like not get too drawn into is like the process of like publicly going back and forth with like red lines over, oh, this word changed that, when it's like, no, that's the kind of thing you're supposed to do
A year ago,
before it comes into this stage.
a year ago. 2 years ago.
Because there's too much to talk through here around intent versus impact, which is why everyone gets really riled up, understandably, just as like on a process point, right? And so again, I don't mean at all to admonish Ben Allenboss, because I understood what he was doing. He'd raised the exact same concerns before about new language. But granted, since the conversation had been opened, it was like, well, might as well just bring my ideas on this, since, we already, opened the box. And so, again, I reached out to him right away, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it. So I guess I was hoping to be able to, talk about this with some of the council members and stakeholders and see if there's, if everyone could just kind of come up with a, agreement on language that we see as purely, clarifying what's already there in intent and policy and the regulatory environment as it is. But, the question is whether it's necessary at all, right? But that can be, right? Just having the comp plan be more clear and consistent can be helpful. And so if there's interest to do that, I'd love to do that. Just, if nothing else, for the purpose of all of us being able to publicly agree, on what we want, there's areas.
Can
that we
I
agree
say
with.
something? Chris
so-
wrote a lot of the utilities chapter of the comprehensive plan.
Some of the amendments to it.
Yeah.
Parts of-
Yeah, revisions,
So-
but yeah, what have you, but so do you think it would be sensible for Chris to submit something along those lines?
Maybe Chris and Ben should.
Yeah, maybe you and Ben should meet, or you, Ben and John, or
I just
something?
think that, when they engaged me directly in this was, early in the summer of 24.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah.
Years
And-
ago.
and
It's the right time. It was the
Yes.
right time.
well, yeah, and you saw it come through.
Yeah.
Modified appropriately
Mhm.
in the final, comp plan. And what I've seen on these comp plans nationwide is that when they're approved, it's an up or down vote. It's not, they might have some, we missed a comma here, or that word there is
Mhm.
misspelled, we need to fix that. But basically, it was a take it or leave it, and you get input from the public. It's kind of their last, run through and slam on it, and then you just vote. That kind of surprised me, but my response back to John was that, yeah, this all looks good, it's fairly benign, and the only change I suggested was changing renewables to non-carbon,
Right,
and that was it. And-
because non-carbon includes lots of
and it
other,
includes
yeah.
hydro and fusion
Yeah.
and fission, all this other stuff.
Are you into fusion and fission?
Might be.
Yeah, I think my reading of it is just that it's like. What, just there, I wanna know why, like, what is this supposed to lead to and what's the intent behind it, right? As far as what, if it's just saying what's already, the case, and. There's similar language that's already in there on all this stuff, and so the fact that it all kind of got brought forward at once as a related package. Yeah, it just makes me wish actually that we'd gone back and come, and I just, we'd come up with something way earlier in the process, but, Peter.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, the law allows for annual updates. Document
Exactly.
process.
Exactly, yeah, you could be
So,
later.
so if there's interest,
Yeah.
that feels like the right
Mhm,
way to
mhm.
approach this based on what I'm hearing.
But the council's not asking us for advice, and you answered it on the merits of the comments rather than worrying about the process.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And we're having a conversation about process.
Right.
And I also recognize that maybe that's not, this isn't a PUD commission meeting. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about another entity's process. I'm just thinking out loud, realizing it's all well intentioned. But maybe that's outside of our scope.
well, I don't know if it's outside of our scope to weigh in, I mean, especially if the language actually concerns the PUD as a impacted
I do see
stakeholder.
the, yeah,
I mean, it's.
direct connection,
there-
especially geothermal, cause we just had a really long conversation about geothermal and
Mhm.
about potential sites on the west side, which are right here in Whatcom County. Like, I feel like this part of the comprehensive plan could feed into land use. I don't know, like, I don't know anything. I'm just saying that having that delineated in very clear language in the comprehensive plan that embraces not like non-carbon geothermal, like that could be useful in the context of land use when it comes to actually securing.
So
leases.
maybe what we should do is go back to the, not for this year, cause you're gonna take them till the end of the year to get this comp plan done. Maybe in a couple of years. We should consider the subject of, hey, let's do a specific update to the comp plan to support infrastructure if it's appropriate. So let's start accumulating and let's keep Ben in our list. But
Yeah.
if Ben's suggestions, Councilmember Ellenboss's suggestions don't get incorporated, let's hold on to them. And make them part of a package that we might go back to the council with in subsequent years.
Well, it's not our comp plan.
No,
And
No.
I would suggest that you flip that and put it back on Councilmember Ellenboss.
Hmm.
And say, we'd be happy to consult with you if you wanna reopen this in a year or two
Yeah,
to modify it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, granted, I mean, if what we're talking about here is not, we're talking about getting something that's beyond comprehensive plan policy, right? If we're talking about, updating, zoning and development regulation and such, right? Which is really what is what all of this sorts of language might or might not support. And I think there is probably, I see growing interest in this, which I think is a good thing. I think that the county does need to have a focused process around new energy and utility development. Skagit County is doing this now. They actually just began a programmatic environmental impact statement process for solar, batteries, nuclear, and renewable fuels, all in one process. And that will preclude, a zoning update that will go through. These are questions I think, we could, Whatcom could take after, do something similar, maybe not exactly what Skagit's doing. It's just the kind of thing, it's too much to do in the middle of the once a decade comp plan process where they're dealing with everything else and, Birch Bay UGA and everything, that all the little things that consume lots of time and attention to be able to try to bring in this big question about energy development policy. So I could see things leading toward, maybe council wants to do a resolution, start its own dedicated process, figure out what the scope of that is. I welcome I want to have the conversation. I want to work with the county because we need to work with the county in order to pursue our goals. And
yes.
so that's where I wanted to take, as far as any kind of response, I wanted to really first and foremost be welcoming of that interest in having that policy discussion. And
you know, for where we are, right, I mean, it's, yeah, it would be premature for us to make like, I think a formal, this is our position under language. But I would love to have just a head nod to engage in the discussion, with, I guess, be able to say, you know, the PUD agrees that we like the general idea of what you're proposing. And, you know, I could at least, you know, talk about, where there, you know, some specifics that maybe need to get tweaked, but we kind of come to the conversation from that footing.
And that's a good question, and I think it comes up quite a bit. Like I have conversations with people all of the time, not as speaking for the commission, but speaking as a commissioner, like my, you know, or just a regular citizen. There's no problem with you going and having a conversation. Or are you talking about meeting with council member
members.
Ellen Boss or multiple council members? Say, hey, the commission, we were having a conversation about this language, you know, here's what we said. What makes me very uncomfortable is when commissioners go out and they say, this is our policy position.
Right,
If we don't have an agreement on that policy position.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're free to go talk to them
As an advisor.
yeah, as an advisor, as a commissioner, as, you know, pertains to the PUD. You know, just don't put words in my mouth, because nobody knows what's gonna come out of my mouth until it does, not even me, right?
yeah, I think we're on the same page there, that's what I'm saying, I'm not, because I don't think we. We're not taking like a position as a PUD on the thing, because. This is, I mean, this isn't even this is hardly even a formal proposal, right?
Right, yeah.
So,
I like where it's going.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
like where and I think it could.
I guess I refrained from saying that, I raised a procedural thing,
Yeah.
I think everybody heard me on that point. I do also, I like the sentiments, I do like very much the way
And
it's
maybe
headed.
that's the message back.
Yeah.
The, you know, the language, we all liked where it was headed,
Yeah,
including your GM,
Yeah,
and we were all concerned about the process.
yeah, and we're willing to put a pin in it and have this revisited conversation in a year, if that's
or
helpful, or 2
2
years.
or mid-year, or you know, it's every 10 years, right, so it
And
might
we
be
do it every
5
year.
years.
I hate these
Well,
processes, like, oh, the long.
Commissioner Yuri's other observation was that, you know, maybe don't mess with the comp plan, go where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah,
Sure.
And look at, you know, what are the zoning implications,
Mm-hmm.
does anything need to be changed there?
exactly.
You know, and
That's-
go
yeah.
that way instead, and just, you know, say the comp plan's good enough.
Mhm.
It gives you the umbrella under which you can do all this other
Because
work.
isn't that really your question when you started having this, is the why? Like, why add this language? Like, I think we know what the why is, right? I think we kind of see where that's going, how that ties into like how it could affect the PUD. It has a lot to do with like land use and I think all of that is the why. You know, without asking Ben personally what his intentions are, but
Yeah, when I first,
yeah.
it seems like there's multiple things going on in the
As
policy,
always.
but as it pertains to geothermal, the policies are to be like specifically talking about the restrictions on it,
Mhm.
so. And that could just be be consistent with other, you know, other policies and other kinds of development. What were you gonna say?
what I was gonna say is when I first looked at the comp plan and it's really for the first time seriously in, I think it was in 23. And when I looked at it, I remember thinking over and over again, oh, that would be nice. Oh, that would be nice. So let's just be really clear, there's a lot in our comp plan that are win-wins for the community,
Mhm.
like across the board win-wins. We haven't acted on that.
Right.
So.
Right,
It's all words,
It's
until
just-
we,
it's
we,
just
we
words,
actually
yeah.
act on those words. I'm not saying it's not important. So the follow through is really important, so between these, you know, 10-year cycles, we got a lot of work to do to fulfill our comp plan objectives. And, I'm glad that people are working on updating the comp plan, but then the question is like, okay, but what are you gonna do after it's adopted? Are you gonna follow through and make sure you actually introduce, you know, language to support all of these lofty goals of the comp plan? You know, that's important.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. What is it all for? Which I think is, yeah, that's the question everyone asks, especially when it's concerning like. you know, big projects
Yeah,
potentially, like
building
what,
stuff.
what's the point of this? And yeah, I guess, you know, I think that,
Otherwise. it becomes
industry
bad.
stakeholders might wanna, they might have different language to propose still too. I think this is all still, the point is this is all still open for some more weeks. And I think June 2nd, a week from today is the meeting where they're gonna be discussing this again. Not so much at today's council meeting, so. I'm just gonna be engaged in it. I feel like there's not enough time to deal with it in
Yeah.
the middle of all these other things, but. You know, there might be,
Yeah.
there might be something. And I don't know who that was like listening to this conversation or whatnot, if, you know, but, definitely, welcome, and I'm interested in any, you know, any stakeholders, reflections on, you know, comp plan language. It's easy for a public comment to kind of just get caught and lost in the mix. And I know that, you know, council members look at lots of emails on something and they can't possibly read everything. So, yeah, I'm just interested in having the conversation with folks who are interested, so.
Mhm.
That's, probably that's probably all I had to. Report.
Joseph has his hand up.
Joseph,
Yes, commissioners, just a point of order real quick. You had mentioned earlier in the meeting that during this time you wanted to look at the upcoming meeting schedule and kind of determine when things would be talked about where. I was kind of wanting to do that because between now and next commission meeting, you will have your regular meeting on the 9th and then your special on the 10th, and we need to notice correctly for the special meeting exactly what topics will be discussed at that meeting.
So June 10th, we set aside for a conversation on how we handle new customers, is that right? And I think that's super important. We wouldn't wanna change that, would we? Shouldn't we?
But could we
Yeah.
broaden the topic to be new customers, power supply and geothermal? That way gives us open, or the ability to cover those three topics?
Will we have any
That's-
new information by the
We
10th?
may or may not, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with broadening it as long as we, you know, have,
The 10th is the end of the public comment period, and I guess the thought I had was that if, say it might be a place where we need to decide, oh, are we putting in a public comment or possibly in coordination with NUCSAC? And I know we had originally planned to have a joint meeting with NUCSAC, and that's been pushed out, but it seemed like there might, you know, that might, yeah, that could potentially be a use of time if we get to that point where we're like, okay, we need to get on the same page about something or go into an executive session.
So I'm
Maybe
proposing-
that's too early, maybe it'll be the week after that, or.
I think in terms of giving feedback on, giving comments on the EA, you guys already gave staff permission to do just that. And so we're going. I didn't hear at the time that you wanted us to bring it back for your approval of what we were gonna say. You gave us the broad outlines of where we wanted to go,
And a general approach.
right?
yes.
Okay,
I'm not, I mean, you can put anything you want on the special meeting agenda. Just note that if it's not on the agenda, which I think is Joseph's point, you can't talk about it.
Right,
Correct,
So if you-
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so if you wanna have something, you know, you could put, you know, geothermal update. Power supply update, you know, if needed, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to
And new
finesse
customers.
that.
well, yeah, well, let's do that, just to cover all our bases.
So what I
because we need to
suggested,
talk about
is
it,
that
yeah.
okay with everybody? New
okay with
customers, geothermal, power supply.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've made that note, and then just so you guys have a clear look at the calendar coming forward, we've got the regular meeting, that special meeting, and then the second regular meeting of June, I have it noted to put a period or or discussion period in there for review of the strategic plan in terms of budget preparation.
Right,
Right,
Okay,
Okay,
great,
thank you.
okay,
Thank you, Joseph.
And I would add that if there's going to be anticipated action coming out of a special meeting, you wanna have. Probably a little bit more verbiage, but, you know, if there's like a,
You
I
mean,
don't think, like if you, a potential adoption of a new customer policy,
Right.
whatever.
I don't think we're ready for that.
we aren't.
So I just wanted,
Yeah, the special meetings usually just informational and.
yeah, but they don't have to be, they can, I mean,
No, they
a lot of
can.
times they're used to do something, you need to do it
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah,
And I just wanna point out that if you don't have some specificity. You can run into problems in taking action.
so in this June 10th meeting, the only thing that would be time sensitive though is if we wanted to take official action on comments, correct? Cause that's the one where we're running into, but we already.
Stress that.
Yeah,
Right, okay, so maybe we don't need to do that,
So let me speak to
I
that
guess-
point. I don't think I want to, on June 10th, do anything as far as doing a final approval of comments.
me either.
I feel like the guidance that we've given is sufficient. Because what we're really asking our staff to do is just address what's going, just the gap. And, why is there a gap kind of that's the thesis
Mhm.
of, or the central message of our comments.
Mhm.
So that we don't get into, and we let the Nipsac tribe kind of get more engaged on,
Mhm.
give them the space, and we should probably communicate to that now. Giving them the space to dig into maybe some of the more meaty issues in their comments.
Mhm.
Well, I'll hear back from Mike tomorrow. If he doesn't call me, I'll call him.
And I know you've dug into this, Eddie, more than any of us, so, as on the commission. So, is that an approach that you feel comfortable, or are you suggesting something different? And because what
Well-
Peter's saying is if we wanna do something different, we have to decide that now.
it kind of seems. Like, okay, so we discussed things. I think we gave some general direction, but. From that, it's not entirely clear to me what, a common letter is gonna look like on behalf of the PUD, and it would seem like if it's like, it is gonna be a public document. For many to see with our name on, I kind of would like to see it before we send it into the federal government.
Okay,
Like,
I'm gonna support you in
and
that.
it just seems like it makes sense that we would. I mean, if granted, we wanted to separate and be like, not make it. This isn't from the commission, this is just staff, these are staff comments.
Well, if you guys want to do the comments, that's fine. We'll just do it on the 9th.
Yeah, we can do that on the
geothermal
9th, we
update.
don't need a special meeting to do that,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's pull it, so then the agenda now is new customers and geothermal update.
Yeah, I guess, can we not just handle all of this on the 9th?
No, not the new customer
Not the new
conversation,
customer.
no.
But so the power supply conversation, that's a
It's
presentation?
almost part of the new, customer discussion. No, it's not a presentation. We had not planned on anything on that on the 10th.
No,
Okay,
okay, so leave it alone, new customers, power supply, geothermal, and we're just not gonna, it's gonna be a non-decision making
No.
special meeting.
Well, and we can put power supply and geothermal if needed.
Yeah,
And then if it's taken care of on the 9th, we're not addressing that today.
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
is that fine then?
So nothing will go out until we see it.
Yeah, and we can, I mean,
That'll happen
it's
on-
is it possible for us to update the agenda on the 9th, or what's our?
No,
is-
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can,
regular meeting,
yes.
yeah.
As long as you have a motion.
are you saying updating the agenda for the 10th on the 9th?
Yeah, like, since we're gonna meet anyway, we can.
No.
That's not enough time.
Yeah.
24 hours is what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be 24 hours, if we wanted to tweak it,
It would be.
based on where we're at then.
Technically, yes,
Yeah.
because the meeting is at 2:30 and the one the prior morning is at 8:30.
But we'd have an agenda out already, but just I'm just saying if we needed to update it. Yeah,
Sure,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could send a new notice, I mean, we would just send out a new notice with a new agenda following this meeting, if there was a change.
Okay,
that's an awful short notice though, we should try to avoid that.
well, yeah, but the time and place of the meet, that there's gonna be a special meeting and the topics are not, wouldn't. That would remain the same.
I mean, I think it'd be easier just to, as Chris mentioned, just if needed, then, I mean, unless you're worried about people showing up for that topic. Then you're not having staff issue multiple notices for a special vote.
Yeah, I know, I get it, and like the agenda doesn't have, the agenda's, it's a no action special meeting, it's for discussion. Like, we don't have to have all of the materials that might be in that meeting there, but I'm saying we could,
Yeah, let's not make
Yeah.
it too complicated.
okay.
I got places to be and pigs to cuddle.
Well, we'll move to public comment, if anyone would like to address the commission, please use the raise hand function in Zoom.
Robin?
Robin, you're, no? No, no one in the room, no one online. Okay, we don't have an executive session today, correct?
Okay.
So I'll close public comment and call for a good of the order.
Good.
But nothing else?
All right, and then we'll move to adjourn at 10:52 a.m.